Hey, everybody.
Hi,
It's me,
guys.
Will.
And me, Kristen.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
Back in action. You thought you
Yeah.
could stop us.
You couldn't.
You were wrong.
You never can.
How dare you?
Do you want to try?
What's your problem?
I'd love to see you try.
I would love it.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, we're finally back. We didn't have a live stream last week.
Yep.
I was away.
Yep.
Now I've returned.
I did a solo live stream, actually.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm
Freeform.
so annoyed that I did not get to see it live.
I know, I felt bad.
Yeah, you should feel bad. But, hey, Sarah. Hey, Diana.
Hey, guys.
We're going to, as usual, give everybody some time to get in here. The show that we record tonight will be out on all major podcast apps and a YouTube version this Friday.
Yep.
So, yeah. We're going to share the show in a couple of places real quick just to take some time, but feel free to drop in the chat, say hello to each other and us, and tell us what you've been up to.
My.
Mama!
Mamu.
Howdy doody.
Hey, Michelle.
Hey.
Gang's all here.
Yeah, how about that? You all
Hey,
came
Thorax.
back. You all came back to us.
Hey, Mel. Yeah, and then you came back.
Oh, hi, Mel.
Oh, hi, Mel.
That is a Seinfeld
Yeah.
reference. We're not just being weird
No.
to you specifically, Mel. What is that like? It's like in a weird.
Yeah, it's really obscure. They're in Boca, and it's like his parents' friend who Jerry's talking to somebody, and this guy just comes up who you've never seen before, and he's like, "Careful what you say to this guy. I'll put it in his act." And Jerry goes, "Oh, hi, Mel."
Such a fun joke you always do, Mel. Careful what you say to this guy. He'll put it in his act.
Oh, hi, Mel.
So
Oh, you got it? Excellent. You're pro.
That's so
Seinfeld
good.
pro. Or we've done that before and explained it before. That's
no
totally
way.
awesome.
Wait, have people
no,
done
he
that?
didn't, no, he didn't say that. I'm saying he said I got it, and I said like, oh, you're pro, and I said, or you and I have done this exact same thing to Mel.
No, I know, but that's what I want to know. Mel, have people done exactly that
Oh,
reference to you before? That's what I'm very curious about. Are
Yeah.
Mels across the globe getting the
Suffering.
Seinfeld treatment? Yeah, exactly. Suffering in
Tracy.
Seinfeld silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that poster was so weird that she posted in the group. You pointing out that those shoes was a pro move.
Ooh.
I both liked those shoes. Like, I would probably wear them, and they're creepy.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to spoil it, because I don't know if this might be your topic, but maybe it's not.
I doubt it. No.
It's not? Okay.
No.
I wanted to
No,
do that this week, and I forgot to.
No, I don't want you to. I flatly refuse to learn what Momo is. I don't want to know.
Oh, I don't know what it is.
I have literally no idea. I know it's a disgusting thing. I know that adults are worried that kids are going to die by suicide because of Momo.
Don't do the Momo challenge, kids.
Yeah, like,
I'm your grandpa, and I'm here to warn you.
I don't want to know.
Grandpas across the globe are terrified of the Momo challenge. That's what I've understood, is that
also-
kids don't care,
That's what I
and all
understand
the
as well.
mommies, daddies, Grammies, and Grampies are terrified.
Grimpies, crimpies.
Banana, Grumpy, they are up in arms about the Momo challenge.
It's also so weird because the Momo challenge was a thing like over the summer. We all learned that it wasn't real, and yet somehow it came back just now.
Did we all learn that it's not real?
Apparently not.
I don't know what it is.
Well, but I remember the same thing where it was an uproar, and it was like, no, don't worry. And it's happening again.
I don't know.
And like that happens with things, but I feel like this life cycle is really short. Of
It seems to
happening
be,
again.
and I don't know what brought it back. I don't know what
I
brought
don't
the
either.
resurgence. All I know is that Momo is a no-no.
Yeah.
So just don't do
I
it.
saw that Momo was destroyed. No, Momo.
No Momo.
Yeah. No, Momo. Yeah.
Riding high on the Momo no-no. No Momo.
Yeah, I mean, better
we
safe
are
than sorry to send all this stuff out. Like, you never know when teenagers do crazy stuff. But, like, I remember there being teenage scares when I was in high school and middle school that were just like, what? No. Like, the episode of, I think it was Oprah, A Rare Misstep for a Goddess, where they talked about, like, rainbow parties, and I don't remember what else. I don't remember our parents being worried about that, but I remember being aware that it was a thing that people were worried about teenagers doing, and me and my friends being like, what are you talking about? And, like, not just that we're losers. Like, everybody was like, what? Nobody does that.
Do you remember when you wanted to go to the Family Values
Yes.
concert?
And I went. I went to the Family Values tour, which was, like, Korn, Limp Bizkit, like, Stained, whoever, I don't remember, when I was a teenager in St. Louis. So it was between 97 and 2000. And our dad was like, great, yes, that's great, or whatever. Because he thought it was an actual like a family values event that I was going to.
Yeah, the
not
Kristen
like
was volunteering.
Right, and because I was like a weird like gothish troubled youth, he was probably like, oh good, she's like getting on the right side. But it's like ironically because it was a weirdo fest.
Do you think parents were comforted when their kids went to Switchfoot concerts?
I think nobody thinks about
listening to-
Switchfoot more than you.
I liked that song a lot when
That
it
was a
came
good
out.
song. I mean, that's a good song.
Yeah.
But
It had a
nobody-
riff and you could dance to it.
Oh my god. Nobody references Switchfoot more than you, parents included. Okay. Hey guys, you're gonna want to really get in here for our live taping. Will's talking about Switchfoot again.
Camera on me. We were meant to live for so much. Holy guacamole, everybody. So happy to be here. What's going on in the chat? Oh, good God. There was a great instance in the 80s when a reporter started reporting every crime that was coming out of the blotters in New York City. People were freaking out about a huge crime wave. The reality was that crime was down almost across the board. It was just being reported more. Yeah, I think that there is like definitely a way to spin things to make it seem like there's more to be afraid of than there really is.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm very prone to being scared. So I'm a great fool to fall for all this stuff. Oh, baby, what is causing all this? Hey, Bobby, everybody, Man Salad in the chat.
Hey!
Click on him. That's our buddy Bobby, my writing partner of a million years, and he just put out a brand new sketch that is insane. It is a sketch that's going to make you feel like you're having a dream while watching it. And it took a ton of work, and it shows, and it's
really well done.
out there and wacky and crazy.
I'm just doing something. I never share that we're going live on my personal Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'm tagging myself in this so that I can share it. I'm tagging you as well in case you want to do that. You don't have to.
Look out, everybody. We're about to get flooded.
Yeah. Figure it can't hurt.
What are like your fans' names? Bobby in the chat. He's Bobby Kester. He's got the Kester's Festers. Kester's Festers. Like an insulting. His fans are cretins. They're like
Cretins?
yeah. You know, like I have a bunch
cretins?
of whatever. It's the same thing.
Cretins.
Cretinous. If you're cretinous, you're a cretin. Take that.
Doing a bunch of new things I've never done before. Okay.
Yeah, we should do an episode about all the things that adults are afraid kids are doing. Texting each other with the butt emoji to get drugs and stuff. Like,
I know.
I'm gonna do so much butt tonight. Like, if your kid is sending that, smash their phone.
Did I not do this right? Hold on.
You ever see those videos where somebody posts online like, I caught my teen talking to a boy, so I shot their MacBook with my rifle.
Oh my god, yes.
Like, oh, you destroyed a $1,500 piece of equipment you brought with a gun because of a message? That'll teach them to fear you and nothing else. All right.
Okay. Okie dokie.
Cool.
Cool.
I thought
Mel,
so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I kind of thought so.
I thought it was like Melvin. Apologies. Okay.
Melvin.
I mean, maybe it is. Melvina.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I was so like stressed and hectic before we started this stream, and now I feel giddy. I'm like so happy to be here.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Ready. Oh, well, yeah, let's just do it.
What?
Okay. Nothing. I didn't share it on Facebook, but whatever.
Oh, I posted it in the group. I didn't post it on the Facebook page.
Okay.
You know?
It's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right, sick.
Ready.
So you have your MM.
Yep.
I have a little update.
Okay.
So I'll do that before your MM.
Yeah. Yep. Cool.
All right, sick.
All righty.
So in your own good time.
All right.
If anybody has to bounce,
Bye,
this
Christy.
episode is going to be out everywhere on Friday.
Yeah.
But thank you for hanging out. And we'd really appreciate if you would share this as well to get other people in
Yeah,
here.
that'd be awesome.
All right.
All right. All right, Thorax. Catch you later. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, welcome to Guides to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
I'm William.
William, welcome back, you little ice baby.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. How you doing?
I'm fine. Happy to be here. How are you?
I'm fine too. Happy to have you.
Thank you. So before we get started into like the actual real show, I do want to give some updates. So for the past week, I've been in Iceland.
Yeah.
And we've talked about Iceland a couple of times here on the show.
Right.
Most recently, you explained the history of the Aurora Borealis, which is quite fascinating. But way, way, way back in episode 38, you talked about Iceland and how they believe in elves.
Yes.
Now, having just been in Iceland, I have something of an update for that topic.
Excellent. Did you see an elf?
No.
Damn.
And frankly, they're sick of it.
Oh, they're over it?
They're over it. So when we were in Iceland, first of all, it's absolutely beautiful there. My feet are currently in a ton of pain because we did like a lot of hiking in absolutely beautiful places.
Yeah.
We tried to see the Aurora Borealis. We unfortunately failed. It was very cloudy
Yeah.
while we were there. We think we saw a shadow of it once. Pretty cool.
Nice.
But at one point, we had a guide that drove us around to a few different interesting spots. And as we were driving around, he's a very nice guy. His name is Kitty. And he was telling us a lot of the history of Iceland, all very fascinating. And then he was like, yeah, feel free to ask me any questions if there's anything else you want to know. And so what do you think I asked? I immediately asked about ghosts, urban legends, elves, trolls, and hidden people.
Naturally. Who the fuck?
Yeah, Holdefolk.
Yeah.
He started out by saying that a lot of the stories about elves and trolls and hidden people and stuff, he dates back to writers traveling the countryside and finding curious little tasty little mushrooms to eat.
Really?
And they'd suddenly have all of these encounters with trolls and elves.
Interesting.
He cited the statistic that you brought up in that show, which I've also seen elsewhere since, about how something like 40 to 50% of Icelanders say that they do believe in trolls and hidden people and elves and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know who they're asking.
Yeah.
I guess they're doing it right, but like, I don't know anybody who actually believes this stuff. So
Right.
they're doing it for fun or whatever. And as we know, like there was a road they were going to build, and they didn't build it because of you'd be encroaching on the elves' territory. But
Yeah.
his whole thing was like, he was like, I don't even entertain it,
Yeah.
even a little bit. Not real. It was all those tasty mushrooms on the hillside.
That's amazing.
and even
Could
like
very well be.
yeah, other writers would evidently be like, shut up, you did not see elves. And then they would also find those tasty little mushrooms, and suddenly they believed. So he's like, what's the common denominator here?
Right,
it's
right.
Like, it's psychedelics.
But do they know that psychedelics were being used, or is it a guess?
I don't know. I guess
You know what I
according to
mean?
my according to my tour guide for one
Yeah.
day, it was a definite. But
Yeah,
I don't know if
okay.
that's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
And then he didn't say anything else. So about an hour and a half later, it was quiet again, and I went. So back to monsters,
Yeah.
Kitty. What about urban legends of the area and ghosts? And he basically just was like, come back in a year and I'll do some research on it.
Oh, all
And I
right.
was
Sorry,
like,
Kitty.
oh, and he was a totally cool guy, but he was
Alright.
like, honestly, people tell me this stuff and I just don't believe it, so it goes in one ear and out the other. And
Kitty's done.
And I went, but it's a cool story. And he goes, I guess so. So
It's not Kitty's deal.
he wasn't into it.
Yeah.
But that at least is a meager update on
Yes,
trolls and stuff.
absolutely.
And now this next part, this is not going to work necessarily as well for audio only, so we're going to try to
do our
describe
best.
what we're doing here as well. But Kristen, for the past week, has been helping us out massively. She's been watching our little dog, Molly.
Hell yeah. I love Molly.
Even Kristen and Ryan even shoveled the sidewalk in front of the house when it snowed.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Come on. So normally I would have gotten her nothing,
Right.
but we did pick up a little souvenir. So try to describe this for the
Okay.
listeners as you reach in to this Iceland
Can I
wagon.
look at it, or I'm reaching in and doing that like I'm putting my hand in spaghetti for brains on Halloween?
Spoiler alert, it is spaghetti. It is a loose bag of
Oh,
spaghetti.
it's so wet and wiggly. Okay.
Squishy.
Squishy. Cute. Okay, so this is a knit hat. Why are you looking funny? Oh!
Do you understand?
Of course I understand. It looks like our logo.
Yeah.
That's weird.
How crazy
So
is
it's
that?
a knit hat that has green on the top and bottom and black and white in the middle.
We were walking through a store,
That's so weird.
and I don't remember who said it, but at some point we were just looking at it going like, that's the Guide to the Unknown logo.
Yeah. This is crazy.
So in Iceland, We're so popular that they
Yeah.
stole
We're huge.
our entire aesthetic to make hats and mittens.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah.
so awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
they
could
actually.
have used this hat when I left my hat at your house earlier in the week. If only you'd been home.
Yeah, I could have mailed it.
Yeah.
I decided not to.
Yeah.
I want you to suffer.
This rules. That's so weird.
Yeah, right?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Very awesome, and thank you,
There you go.
Iceland.
Get your Guide to the Unknown merch.
Yeah.
It's in Iceland.
Bunch of buds.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So there you go. That's
We'll leave this here.
that's the extent of my update.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, and I'm glad that you had a great time.
I did
Did
indeed.
you do any of the foot stretches I showed you?
I did not.
Ah.
My feet were in such pain I was afraid of doing anything but lying down.
Sure. Moving on.
Yes.
So I have a bite-sized Monster Madness this
Whoa.
week, except it's a bite-sized Mr. Madness.
Oh no.
Because it's not about a monster.
Mr. Longitude.
He's here.
Ah!
Oh, yeah, he's really bite-sized.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
I mean,
Everything.
everything is bite-sized
Yeah.
to him.
If you're Monsieur Longitude, everything is bite-sized.
Is it mini Monster Madness or bite-sized Monster Madness what we do? What do we call it?
I think we call it something different from the graphic I made.
What's your graphic?
I don't remember.
Okay. Opa. So this is a topic that I came across that's cool, but not really like long enough for a main course. So this is your appetizer.
Cool.
Your amuse-bouche. Okay.
It is amusing.
Yeah. Okay. So I came across a link today that I got really excited about that said the CIA had declassified a bunch of documents
Oh.
that have a bunch of paranormal stuff in it.
Awesome.
And then I realized this was an article from 2017. I've already read this. But
Yeah.
I had forgotten some details.
Okay.
So it was good to revisit.
Sick.
And one of them was about Yuri Geller. Do you know who that is?
Was he the first man in space?
No, I'm laughing because he's like very far from that.
Oh.
He is a guy who would go on TV and say he was bending spoons with his
Oh,
mind.
yes, of course. I'm thinking of like Yuri Gagarin or something like that. He was like one of the first.
Yes, of course, I know that.
Yeah.
As well.
And Chimchar, the first monkey in space.
Is that real?
There was a monkey in space, but Chimchar is a Pokemon.
Oh, okay. I'm ruining all the goodwill I earned with Mom today because she turned to me and said, "Who invented the cotton gin?" I said, "Eli Whitney."
Yeah, Eli Whitney.
Yeah. And she was like, "I am so glad you know that." And I was thinking to myself, like, I won't go through all the other weird things that I should know that I don't know.
Oh, of
that
course.
have
They're-
upset Mom.
They're
in the
on
past.
display.
There's a big one that is not on display specifically because Mom asked me not to share it with the general public.
Oh, man.
You know what it
I
is.
want to know real badly.
You know.
I do.
Yeah. I'll tell you later. But
It's so funny that you were talking about the cotton gin. That's like when I was a kid, I imagined what adults must talk about. And that's just like sitting around at lunch, sipping on tea. You know, if the cotton gin had not been invented until the early 1940s, how do you think that would have affected the American economic system? Like all the questions at the end of a chapter in a history
yeah.
book, you know?
Yes, that's right.
You
Oh,
know, I
God.
was wondering, what do you think would happen? What would George Washington have said if he wrote a letter to somebody living today?
I forgot about those like prompts.
Goofball prompts.
Well, it was because Mom was knitting a new scarf for me after the one that she knit for you.
Yeah.
And she was thinking about how great it is that we don't have to go through the bitch of knitting to make our clothing and all. And good thing there's a cotton gin to help us make clothes easily.
Thank God. We don't
Yeah.
say it enough.
No, we
Thank
really
God for the cotton gin.
And thank God for Eli Whitney. And thank God for me knowing who that is.
Yeah.
To give me a little bit of academic clout with Mommy.
Eli Whitney, without even looking up.
That's basically what happened.
Discard the knowledge. Who invented the cotton gin?
Eli Whitney.
Eli Whitney.
Me reading a newspaper.
Yeah. Upside down.
Yeah. Okay, so Yuri Geller is not the first man in space,
No.
nor Chimchar the first monkey. Maybe not. He was a psychic or kind of like mind-bendy guy
Yeah.
who would not bend minds, bend spoons, maybe minds in the process,
Sure.
and was very showy about having these like telekinetic abilities and things like that. So it turns out, according to documents from Stargate Project, from these declassified CIA documents, that they researched Yuri Geller to kind of test his psychic skills and he passed the test.
Oh, really?
So the Stargate project was basically about psychic powers and any sort of extrasensory stuff. And they said in the documents that they wanted to recruit, quote, psychic warriors to employ remote viewing. So being in one place and be able to see something that's going on somewhere else. And they wanted to see if that could be a real thing that they could utilize in, relations with other countries that we're not getting along with or whatever.
Awesome.
Also, I thought this was interesting. The reason that these files are available for us to see was that they weren't like under lock and key, these weird files, but they were only available to see on 4 computers in at the National Archives in Maryland. And then a Freedom of Information group called Muckrock sued the CIA to make them upload the collection of documents to the internet so that everybody could see it and have access to it. And doing that took 2 years.
Wow.
Because it was like tons and tons of stuff.
Wow.
They also may have been dragging their feet a little bit, but still.
Sure. But it's amazing that they got them to do it at all.
I know.
That's incredible.
I know. So they experimented on Uri Geller. What they did with him, probably among other things, was that they would have an agent, or whatever you call it. Let's just say an agent for the sake of argument. They had an agent go in the other room, and there would be, they would draw something. And Uri Geller is supposed to tap into what they're thinking about, or be able to see it, I guess, if we're thinking about remote viewing, and draw the same thing as well. I'm annoying myself for not writing it down specifically. I believe that both of them were given a prompt or something. Like it would be something like something that grows, let's say, is the prompt. But neither of them knows Uri Geller doesn't know what the guy's going to do. So this was a real specific one. The person in the other room drew a bunch of grapes. Uri Geller says, because he's also talking through this with kind of an agent with him at the time, just to kind of see the process and see what's up. He's like, I'm seeing circles, I'm seeing purple, I'm seeing whatever, and drew a bunch of grapes. That looks just like that other guy's bunch of grapes. There's some sort of prompt. The guy in the other room draws the solar system, like the sun and planets around it, in a rudimentary way. Uri Geller draws the sun, a bunch of planets around it, but there's a plane in it. So it's a little bit different.
Okay. That's still remarkably similar.
So there are a bunch that were like that, where he was doing the same thing. There were some where it was off, but they ended up concluding, and this is what they wrote in their files, that he demonstrated his paranormal perceptual ability in a convincing and unambiguous manner.
Okay.
So they were pretty sold on Uri Geller, like, being the dude. So Uri Geller was like very showmanshipy, and so he talked to the press about this and was bragging about it, and a lot of people thought that he was just like full of it and being like, he's like, oh yeah, no, the CIA wants to employ me, because he was this like kind of weird, outlandish guy. So people were like, yeah, okay. It ended up being true. And what he had said to the press back then was that they wanted to investigate him because they told him that there was a woman in Russia who could move stuff with her mind. So they wanted to test him out to see if they had like an equivalent weapon here in America.
That's the arms race.
Basically.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like a psychic arms race. And this is all real, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
And he said to the press that they possibly wanted him to erase floppy disks with his mind. He said that they wanted him to stand outside the Russian embassy in Mexico and erase floppy disks being thrown out the window by Russian agents. Could not find any elaboration on that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's something that he said.
I bet BTK wishes he had that power too.
Oh, big time. Yeah, he would have loved to utilize Uri Geller.
Felled by the floppy.
It's like being blinded by the light.
Yeah.
So that's a crazy thing. He is my mini mister, bite-sized mister.
Love it.
But these files also had recipes for invisible ink that the CIA was using that you can find, which is really weird. Yeah,
lemon
it's really
juice?
cool. Yeah, lemon juice and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And it also documented UFO sightings, which we talked about before. Just lots of documentations of like strange things that they looked into, apparently. And you know what's another weird UFO sighting, which I'm going into my main topic now. Hope you liked your appetizer. Hope you didn't fill up too much.
Here we go.
William, I'm going to talk to you about the Wanakee Reservoir UFO sightings.
Wait. Hold on. Is this in New Jersey?
Yeah, baby.
Wanakee?
Okay, thank you for saying that, because I was just thinking to myself, I meant to look up the pronunciation of this before I came there, and I forgot to.
Tread lightly.
What?
Be careful.
Why? Who's there?
I've mentioned this man before. So the podcast Tell 'em Steve Dave
Yeah.
made contact with a guy calling himself
Oh my God.
Sargel18.
Yes, Sargel 18 is from Wanacue.
Yeah, he says that he is the person who discovered the Wanacue vortex.
Oh man, I should look into that.
Yeah, so it might. Well, I think it's a topic unto itself.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I have nothing about a vortex, but there are a lot of strange happenings in Wanacue.
Yes, exactly. So I'm very excited to hear about this because maybe then we have to quickly follow up someday soon.
Yeah.
With Sargel 18 and the
Sure.
Wanacue vortex.
Absolutely. Now I
I'm
want
very
to follow
excited
up now.
about this.
My mind was blown by this. I knew nothing about this. I had never heard of it or anything.
Yeah.
It's almost akin to me like when we were talking about the Jersey Devil and there are like tons of witnesses and all this stuff. And I was like, why have I never heard about all these witness reports and crazy crap?
Right.
This was like a big deal.
It's like hiding in plain sight in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand why this didn't become
Why
bigger.
is this like taught in school? Maybe it is when you're younger in New Jersey or something.
I don't know if it is taught.
Maybe not.
Why would they teach it in school? It's
It's a big,
unverified.
weird part of our history, though. It's like a big, cool event. I
but
guess
they
it's
don't
only
teach
cool if you're like
folklore stuff.
into.
Yeah, they don't.
You know who does? Amy of Schooled on Instagram.
Yeah, that's right.
If you follow us anywhere on social media, you've seen us repost Amy's child's amazing like notes about our show because Amy does like a folklore Friday with her kid. It's
Which
really
is so
cool.
cool. Guide to
Yeah.
the Unknown is used for educational purposes.
I know.
How absurd is that situation?
I know. I love it.
Right.
So at least somewhere folklore is being taught in
Yeah.
school. So I'll start from the beginning. And I read a whole lot of different websites and everything, but I mainly sourced for my talk tonight from Weird New Jersey, a classic.
Love it.
And I have a lot of direct quotes because I felt like they were important to illustrating what this is, as opposed to me being like, yeah, so they say it's like a bright light, because it's so interesting. I love this story.
Yeah.
And it just has a lot of like color and like real life personality in it. And like, I feel like it's easy to put yourself in these places and be like, what the hell? That would be so insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so this happened in 1966, all of these events. But I will say there have been more UFO sightings, obviously in every state. But in New Jersey, the way that I got to this topic in the first place was by finding an article from njpatch.com, or maybe it's just patch.com, from February, talking about how there's been an uptick in UFO sightings in New Jersey.
From February 2019.
Yeah. Just recently.
We got to get to Wanacue.
I know. No, but in general in New Jersey, in
just-
central Jersey, there was one in Piscataway.
General Jersey.
Yes, General Jersey. And they referenced the Wanacue UFOs in that article. And I was like, what is that? And then when I went and looked, and I was like, blah.
Yeah.
So in January of 1966, there was a police officer for Wanacue named Joe Sisko who got a call from dispatch to go check out a glowing light, possibly a fire. That's a quote from the dispatch officer. Then immediately followed up with people in Oakland, Ringwood, Patterson, Totowa, and Butler claim there's a flying saucer over the Wanacue, meaning the Wanacue Reservoir.
Yeah.
So this is a direct quote from Joe Sisko. He said, "I pulled into the sand pit, an open area, to get my bearings," Sisko recalls. "There was a light that looked bigger than any of the stars, about the size of a softball or volleyball. It was a pulsating white stationary light changing to red. It stayed in the air. There was no noise. I was trying to figure out what it was." So around the same time that that's happening, like, it's like a TV show or something where you're cutting to different people all experiencing the same thing. This article is really great. If you just Google Wanacue Reservoir, the Weird New Jersey article is the first one that comes up, which I'm citing from. So around the same time, the mayor of Wanacue, whose name is Harry Wolf, was with his son Billy and two town councilmen named Warren Hagstrom and Arthur Barton, driving to see the burning of the Christmas trees, which was apparently a thing they used to do. People threw out their Christmas trees, they could round them all up to be all burned together.
That
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, that sounds like a war on Christmas.
But it's later. This is January.
Yeah.
Christmas is past. Now we're just giving the trees a nice burial, basically.
A Viking funeral.
A Viking funeral. So they're driving, and I guess the mayor had like the police scanner in his car, or had access to talk to police people from his own car, and they heard the reports over the radio. So they're like, "What? This sounds crazy. Let's go join Joe Sisko where he's at."
Yeah.
So they drive Joe Sisko and park. And they see it. So the son, Billy, described it as looking like it was a giant star gliding low over the lake. Because they're parked in this, sandy thing by the reservoir. So gliding low over the lake. And he said it was super weird that it didn't flicker at all. But like Joe said, it continuously changed color from white to red to green and then back to white. So it's just like moving shades,
Okay.
totally silent. His dad, the mayor, said, quote, "The phenomenon was terribly strange." And he said that his guess was that it was like oval shaped, and this is a big span, but he said it was about 2 to 9 feet in diameter, because I guess it was far away enough that he couldn't tell.
That's weird. That's not that big.
No, but like, for something that's like kind of close-ish to you, and you can tell it's not a star, you're just like, what is this?
Yeah. 2 to 9 feet.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
2 to 9 feet.
It was either something or nearly 5 times that size.
Yeah, that conflicts with a lot of what's in here.
That's weird, right?
Maybe the mayor, I don't know.
Maybe he doesn't have great spatial reasoning.
Maybe I don't.
I
That's
definitely
like,
don't.
Honestly, that's like if you asked me how big something was.
Yeah.
First of all, 2 to 9 is a big span, and it's totally wrong, probably from what everybody else describes.
Yeah.
I would do the same
I've
thing.
moved into like 4 different places with Allie, and I'll be like, that'll never fit there, and it fits like perfectly with a room to spare. I'm like,
I have.
all right, you get to look at stuff from now on.
I don't have the concept.
It's either 2 feet or 9 feet. I don't know.
I don't want to say something that's going to wound our mom. I know what a mile is. How far is a mile? I don't know.
5
I'll get
tomatoes.
there.
You don't know this?
What?
5 tomatoes.
What are you talking about?
5280. 5,280 feet is 1 mile.
I can't conceive of that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, actually, from being in Iceland for so long,
right.
I'm far more used to kilometers.
that's all I need. So the radio started going crazy, the police scanner radio, with people calling in from like a 20-mile radius. And Officer Sisko called another officer, Officer Dykeman, who was patrolling nearby. So Dykeman gets the call that there's like this weird light, something's going on. Just then, a bunch of teenagers run up to his patrol car, and they're like, "What is this? What's going on?" Then 2 Wanacue civil defense directors, I don't really know what that means, are driving together. They've heard it on their radio in their car.
What?
They drive up to Officer Dykeman, and they're like excited, and they're like, "Oh my God, the radio's blowing up! Like, what is this? This is all crazy." So these things are all going on. People are separately freaking out,
Love it.
finding each other to freak out together to have this common experience.
Would never happen today. I'd be driving through Wanacue while there's a UFO, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
know because I'm listening to a 5-year-old episode of Tell 'em Steve Dave, or listening to like a 10-year-old clip of Jon Stewart talking because I miss him. So, it's like I don't know anything current. I don't know. I'm watching clips of Conan O'Brien from 1994.
Oh, absolutely. I'm listening to Real Housewives recap podcasts. I don't see anything. So let's go back to the sandpit with Joe Sisko.
Yes, please.
So his radio, and this is pulled directly from the Weird New Jersey thing. Back at the sandpit, Joseph Sisko's radio crackled as another unbelievable message came across the airwaves. Something's burning a hole in the ice. Something with a bright light on it going up and down. Then another transmission fought its way through the din. Oh boy! Something just landed in front of the dam! Spencer and reservoir employee, who's Spencer? Reservoir employee Fred Stein.
Poor Spencer, lost to history.
Lost to time. Reservoir employee Fred Steins raced to the top of the 1,500-foot-long Raymond Dam, where they described seeing a bolt of light shoot down as if attracted to the water, like a beam emitted from a porthole. Patrolman Sisko, Mayor Wolf, and Town Councilman Hagstrom and Barton climbed to the top of the dam to get a better look. There was something up there that was awful bright, Hagstrom recalls. We don't know what it was. We thought it was a helicopter, but we didn't hear a motor. It looked like a helicopter with big landing lights on. We got goosebumps all over when we saw where the hole was in the water. According to John Shuttle, another councilman who witnessed the UFO, there was no doubt about it. It was there, he said. I saw it, a brilliant white object, 2 to 3 feet across, and its color, no, not color, shade, it kept changing. So I guess it was small feet-wise, but you were kind of close to it, so you could tell.
Yeah.
I don't know. People who had been listening to their police scanners started coming out to look. Traffic was jammed up. It was a scene. Oh, that's me just talking again. Okay.
No.
So that's what was going on. I still have my reading of
It
quote
was a
voice.
scene.
It was a scene. So they had to close all the entrances to the reservoir to keep out all the onlookers because it was like mayhem, it sounded like.
Yeah.
So the officer and the councilman had gone to the top of the dam, stayed there, and just watched the light for about half an hour just examine it and trying to figure out, like, I can't imagine taking your eyes off this thing if you're just like, what is this? I've never seen anything like this before. So just watching it, and then suddenly it zoomed away to, like, the southeast. And something that I like about what the Weird New Jersey thing says, it doesn't make it clear, but I'm assuming this, and I like what I'm assuming. said that it hovered for a time at this location, then it moved a little bit and it hovered at this location. And it also said that Officer Sisko saw it one more time before the sun came up the next day, which implied to me that maybe he was tracking it. Like, maybe it zoomed to the southeast. He was like, to the car, boys!
Right.
They got in their car and they followed it if they knew where it hovered, kept moving, stopped, and whatever, which is awesome.
If you're the aliens, though,
Yeah.
like just to imagine it from their perspective, they're up to something and they're not necessarily concerned that people can see them.
Right.
That's weird, right?
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
it
well,
like
maybe it's a fact-finding mission? Maybe they want to study people. Maybe they're coming to look out over us and like observe. So that who knows?
I guess. Well, here. All right, I'm going to say something weird. All right, whatever. So again,
Ready.
I was just in Iceland. Did I mention?
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Maybe like Mike talking about going to Montreal.
So
Ugh.
well, I've also been to Canada.
Okay.
Also,
enough.
their highways are measured in kilometers as well. The metric system is far preferable. Anyway,
Well, maybe I'll do better when we go to Canada at the end of the month, and I'll understand mileage.
maybe, yeah. So in Iceland, we drove around, and you just drive through the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
for hours and hours and hours. But periodically, you see farms and sheep and horses and stuff. And so you telling that story a moment ago about like the people looking at the spacecraft and it's darting around doing other stuff, it made me think about like that's probably what it was like when humans were originally trying to settle on places. Is that like we'd go into the woods or
Yeah.
we'd go into a field and start like checking the land. I don't know, stomping around to
Yeah.
see stuff. And if a cow was watching us, who cares? Sorry,
Right.
cow. I'm building on your land.
Yeah.
So is it like that? Is it like
I wonder.
humans
Yeah.
staring at the
They're
spaceship?
just incidental.
Yeah.
You're just like,
And-
I'm checking this out. Like, you're there and that's fine. You're not going to bother me. I won't bother
Yeah,
you.
the space folk are like, these are the native creatures to this planet.
Right.
So like, whatever. They'll
Look
one way
away.
or another.
Yeah.
We're doing our thing.
I mean, they saw us blast the hole in the ice of this reservoir, so
Yeah.
maybe they'll know to stay.
We thought
stay
that
in
ground
line.
was weird. Turns out it's real crunchy and explosive.
Crunchy. So there were more sightings the next day. So the next day, let me see. So there was a patrolman named Jack Warlaw who reported seeing a bright white disc floating in the vicinity of his home in Wanacue, kind of just a little bit beyond the reservoir. So this is a quote from him. It seemed like only a block away, above Lily Mountain, maybe 1,000 feet up, Wardlaw said. Don't ask me what it was, but I do know it wasn't any helicopter, plane, or comet. It shot laterally left and right. It stopped. It moved up straight. And then it moved down and disappeared in the direction of Ringwood to the north. Wardlaw described the shape as definitely disc-shaped and at certain angles, egg-shaped. So I imagine it's like kind of skinny, if you look at it one way, but as it turns or something, you kind of like see its full shape.
That kind of sounds like the classical UFO description to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
like egg shaped, so it's oval, but like an egg on its side,
Right,
and
right.
it's a disc.
Right.
Like that's a flying saucer.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
There's a description a little bit later in here that is so nuts. I wish that there was a video of the person describing it, because I can just imagine getting whipped up and be like, it was like this, but a little bit more like that, and whoever like took this transcription of him talking must have been like, what?
What are you talking about?
But I get it. So then later that night, confusingly, there's another Sisko on the police force. This is Sergeant Dave Sisko, as opposed to Officer Joe Sisko. This Sisko starts with an S. Other Sisko starts with a C. But it gave me a real double take when I was writing this down. I was like, did I mess up all these names? But no.
And then a third Cisco came into play when I put the thong song on as I was researching. Baby!
He's identified that object.
Oh.
It's a butt. So Sergeant Dave Sisko said that he saw something later that night in the evening, and he said that this UFO just kind of noiselessly hovered into his view. His quote was, "It glided, then streaked faster than a jet, and when it rose, it went straight up." So that seems to be something also in common. These objects not doing like an incline like an airplane, but just like whoop, like straight up from where they
Momentum
are.
isn't necessarily that important, and like thrust
Right.
can change.
Right.
It can move wherever it needs to.
Yeah, totally.
Very precise.
This description I thought is really weird too. So this was new Cisco, S Cisco, with another policeman saying that they saw it across the dam. We looked across the water and saw a cylinder-shaped object. It was moving back and forth like a rocking chair motion. We were astonished. I love that visual. Just
Yeah.
back and forth. Like, what's it doing?
Especially, yeah, that's like a scanner
Yeah.
or something.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? That's what it makes me think of when you're at the grocery store and you're trying to scan an avocado.
Yeah.
And it takes several passes.
And it could be a similar shape. An avocado is just a larger, bumpier egg
My God.
from the outside.
Yeah.
Softer, too.
I've seen swiping like this before when I spot a grandpa trying to use the self-checkout. Now you get this damn thing. Can't get the damn socks.
It's not catching
Ah.
it. So a few minutes later, they're watching this happen. Then again, shoots straight up into the sky until it was undistinguishable from other stars. They both said they didn't hear a sound while this whole thing was going on. So same deal. Like you would think that you would hear a motor or something from this thing because it's kind of close enough to hear that, but it's totally silent. So Theodora, who was the second cop in this, said, "I didn't believe in UFOs. I thought they were a lot of bull. And then I saw it. It was a breathtaking sight, something I'll never forget." And then after the 66 sightings, radar was installed atop the reservoir dam because they were just like, let's just keep an eye on stuff. This is weird. So after those two sightings happened, nothing happens until October when there is a bigger show that is put on. So on October 9th, at nighttime, Betty and Robert Gordon of Pompton Lakes, which is a different town but kind of close by, still kind of around the reservoir area, saw what they described, quote, as a single saucer-shaped object about the size of an automobile glowing with a white brilliance. At first I thought it was a star, Betty Gordon recalled, but it seemed to be moving. It had a definite pattern. It would move to the left of the tower and then move back directly over the tower. I'm quite sure it was not a star or planet. So Bob Gordon, her husband, was a police officer himself for Pompton Lakes, and he asked this when he'd be dispatched to their house, just like check this out and just like talk to him or whatever.
Yeah.
Where they gave their account, and their neighbor who saw it too also gave their account to the policeman who came, and told them that the neighbor told the police officer that they saw the light head off in the direction of the Wanacue Reservoir. So then a Sergeant Thompson for Pompton Lakes, who was who's over that way anyway, he was radioed to check up on it because he was over there anyway. So this guy did night duty, and he was a sergeant for 6 years, so he doesn't like freak out easily or anything. But he says that he looked out of his car and to his astonishment saw the UFO heading right toward him.
Oh, God.
So he pulled over.
Oh, my God.
So he says, I saw the object coming at me. There was an extremely bright light. It was a bright white light, bright like when a light bulb was about to blow. It was very low. It appeared to be 75 feet over the mountain. It was traveling very quickly and in a definite pattern. First right, then up and down, then repeating the pattern. Distances are deceiving. Oh, so he gets me. He probably doesn't know what miles are either. Distances are deceiving, but it might have covered an area of a half a mile now, so he's got it. It went straight over my head, stopped in midair, and backed right up. It then started zigzagging from left to right. It was doing tricks, making acute angular turns instead of gradual curved ones. It looked as big as a parachute. I got out of my car and continued to watch it for almost 5 minutes. It was about 200 to 250 yards away. This is the description where I was like, the person who's talking to us was supposed to be kind of like staring through him.
Right, yeah.
It was the shape of a basketball with the center scooped out and a football thrust through it. Sometimes the football appeared to be perpendicular to the basketball and sometimes standing up on end. What?
Oh, of course. Thank you for using a folksy...
Yeah, thanks for breaking it down for me.
A basketball scooped out with a football thrust through the middle, but sometimes the football was perpendicular. What? Yes, of course. Yes, got it. Somebody with a press ticket sticking out of their fedora. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
This is good stuff. Keep going.
We're just going to do a direct quote of this one. We can't paraphrase, just like old Chrissy.
Cool. I think we're good on the description. Can you get back to more of the how it felt?
So this is a continuation of his quote. This guy was going on. There were two different gadgets. It didn't make much noise, but as it was moving, it raised the water beneath it. I watched it maneuver, stirring up brush and water in the reservoir, and it was about 150 feet up. I had difficulty seeing because the light was so bright it blinded me. So people started pulling over and getting out of their cars, and it was starting to get really messy. Like, it was just, I imagine like a sea of cars, basically, like a parking lot sort of thing. So Sergeant Thompson finally put his lights on in his car. He's going to start trying to like get people out of there. And when that happened, when he put on the, the cherry or whatever on his car or whatever the lights are, suddenly that thing sped away and was gone. So even more than last time, this time the switchboards got totally jammed up
Yeah.
for both Wanacue and Pompton Lakes with calls about this, wanting explanations, wanting help, just reporting it, whatever. Absolutely jammed.
911, we're
Yeah.
scared too.
Yeah, basically.
Click.
That's one of the things I find interesting about this. Like, you know, cops are people like anybody
Yeah.
else, but they're still like somebody you think of as being kind of like, you know, by the books and rational.
Sure.
This is chock full of cops who are being like, I saw a UFO.
That's very and you're totally vulnerable, just
Right.
like everybody else.
Right.
Terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. Like, your gun isn't going to do anything about this. Not that they were, like, trying. But I'm just saying, like, they're just as susceptible to being freaked out at this thing as everybody else. They have no dominion over this.
Stand back, everybody. I've got this. What are you?
Hello?
What are you?
Where are you? So, those things happened.
Yeah.
And now for the explanation or the cover-up.
Oh God.
Okay.
Oh, no.
No good explanations here, folks. Don't get yourself pumped for me to give you a straight answer that's going to make you be able to go home and sleep well tonight in your cute little beds.
Yeah.
There
too
are no
bad.
explanations.
This is the real world.
That's right. Wake up, honey.
You
It's a little bit of
chumps.
a mixed metaphor because I just talked about you going to bed, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. Lots of confusion, Will. So, this is so weird. I did a little bit of research to try to find like sources and figure this stuff out, but I couldn't find anything. I don't understand what happened here.
Yeah.
Just like the good people of Wanacue, not Wanakee, and Pompton Lakes.
Uh-huh.
There's lots of confusion. So midnight after the January sighting, the very first one, Stewart Air Force Base, which is in New York, calls one of the police stations, Wanacue or Pompton Lake, it would be Wanacue, and said they had been running drills with a helicopter with a powerful beacon. So, like, don't worry about it. It was just us. But the next morning, somebody from Stewart Air Force Base calls back and says, like, no, that's not true.
What?
The next day, somebody from the Pentagon calls and says, yeah, no, it was. It was true. What? So here's my conjecture corner and putting my tinfoil hat on.
Yeah.
From this, that makes me wonder if somebody from the Pentagon called posing as somebody from Stewart Air Force Base or coerced somebody from Stewart Air Force Base
Right.
to call and make this call and be like, yeah, we were doing a test run, whatever. Somebody else who was aware of this situation and knew there was no test run called the next day and says, no, that's not true. Then the Pentagon calls and is like, no, look, we're the big guys and we're telling you it's true.
We're saying it's true.
I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
does sound like the second phone call where they said it wasn't true is somebody who either didn't have the clearance or
Right.
really was not part of the conversation. But even still, you'd think that they would maybe treat it with a little more hesitation than to outright say no.
Right.
You know, like
And so soon after, like that stuff happened
Yeah.
like in the evening. I believe it said it was like 6:30 or something. At midnight, only hours later, somebody's calling and be like, don't worry about it. Everything's chill. We were doing a drill or whatever.
well, for sure, if you pretend you're in charge all the time, if something happens that you're obviously in the dark about as well,
Yeah.
you have to pretend that you
Yeah, you know everything.
know.
Yeah, and to calm people down. Like, I've got this under control. There's no need for you to be scared.
Yeah.
And I guess you would want to do that as soon as possible.
We've been testing out a new wiggly light that likes water. Yeah. Zooms at you.
so weird.
It'll zoom at you sometimes. That story scared the hell out of me in particular.
Yeah, you
Thompson from
happen
Pompton?
to look up.
Yeah.
And you realize it's coming right at you. What the hell?
Terrifying.
Totally.
I had this is a stupid little story, but whatever. When we lived at the old apartment, I was out walking Molly, and we were pretty far from the house.
Yeah.
And I heard an animal that I don't know what it was, and it sounded messed up. It was
God.
like it was just going like. It sounded like Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
When he's like, he's already been hit in the head with a brick, and
Yeah.
he's storming up the stairs, just going like, "Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out." It sounded like an animal that's like, it sounded like it was sick
Oh my God.
and maybe in pain, but it definitely sounded like it was like telling you to like back off. And so I'm walking with Molly, who barks at everything.
Yeah.
And I just stopped, and Molly was barking, and I just started going like, please stop barking, because soon this other animal
It's going to be like curious about you.
and is going to be like, well, I'm being attacked by this dog. Better go on the
Yeah.
offensive and attack us. And I just put myself in a frame of mind where I'm standing with Molly, and she's barking, and then the sound of the animal going like, and like starts like chasing us up the road. And I'm running,
I know. What'd you do? You just have to run.
and it would definitely catch me.
Yeah.
I was terrified.
Oh God.
Terrified. The idea of anything
Yeah.
suddenly being like,
Oh, I see you.
You.
Yeah. Oh God, William.
no, I would drop dead on the spot.
That's like there was one time where I was I had a break from work when I was in Princeton, and I sat on one of the benches in like the very lovely fancy middle of town square thing, just like looking at my phone or something, and this squirrel crawled up on the bench like on the opposite end, and I was just like whatever, and I looked back and it was like looking at me, and I looked again. I was just like trying to ignore it, and it was still looking at me. It started coming toward me, making eye contact, and I was like, Blah!
Yeah, no. Animals are, that's not how they, it may have had rabies.
I know.
They're supposed to have fear
I know. No, it was looking right at
and
me.
want to keep their distance. Yeah, that is scary. I don't care how cute it is. You
I
know,
made like a noise, and I like ran.
you know in Cinderella, those mice were always climbing all over her and like little woodland creatures were putting her clothes on her and stuff? They probably had rabies. They're not supposed to want to walk up to you.
I loved that part when I was a kid. I still, when I fluff pillows, I do it the way the birds do in Cinderella. They like pounce on them with their little legs, and then the birds pull from the opposite corners. I still do that.
Really?
Yeah.
It would be far less convenient in real life because birds, like, they're not conscious of when they're pooping. So your bed might be
They're not?
made. I don't think so. Like horses, they
makes
seem to
sense.
just do it wherever they please. No decorum.
What a life.
So your bed might be made.
Might be made on.
But I don't know if you want to lie in it.
Might have make on it.
Absolutely. I maked your bed. Sorry, you made my bed?
No, I
Well,
mixed it.
I maked it.
Yeah. Make. Okay. So, Air Force bases. How the hell we start talking about that?
Sorry, yeah, that was me.
Fine by me.
I did an impression of an animal for a while.
Oh, it was seeing something coming at you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why. So that happened with the Air Force Base saying something, taking it back, then the Pentagon stepping in and be like, no, it was the truth what they said.
Right.
I didn't find where in the timeline of events this happened, but the same thing happened with another Air Force Base. The McGuire Air Force Base got in touch and said like, oh, don't worry, it was actually a weather balloon. And then later somebody from the Air Force Base called and said like, no, actually it wasn't.
Get
What?
it straight.
I know. So both bases denied having interest in the event in that they were worried about it or something like
Right.
that. But a bunch of the police officers, including Joe Sisko from the beginning, remember seeing a pair of jet planes flying not long after that first UFO was reported. Like that, I don't know if it was the same night, but not long after. As well as seeing a lot of helicopters in the area. So it seems like they were interested in it and were checking something out, but they were trying to be like, we don't care. We're not interested in that.
Right.
Like, it's not anything that's to
Who
be
cares?
concerned about because it's nothing. And yet they seem to be kind of interested and concerned. Another thing that I just found kind of a passing reference in the Weird New Jersey article, but I couldn't find like a quote or like when this happened or whatever, was that there are people in town when they were sort of like having quotes from people being like, look, I know what I saw, whatever. People reference the Army explaining away the incident to them as being swamp gas, kind of a will-o'-the-wisp sort of situation.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the deal is with that. And there's also been an
Who
explanation.
is Shrek? Stay out of my swamp.
There's also an explanation that was brought forward by this nonprofit called Vestigia, which is a nonprofit that tries to find plausible explanations for unexplained phenomena. They said that they think that it could be attributed to seismic shifts in the earth. You can find much more of a description in the article, but it was like very wordy. That if those occur in just the right way in that area, because it's a reservoir and there's weird stuff or whatever, if they happen to occur just in the right way and the atmosphere has just the right conditions, that could result in spheres of light. Again, hundreds of people in Pompton Lakes and Wanacue call BS on that.
Yeah, that
They're
doesn't
like,
sound
do
right.
spheres of light, even if those unlikely things did happen to happen at the same time, would they move in that way? Like, tons and tons of people saw this, and it just does not seem
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
even despite the fact that that doesn't explain the activity,
right. The way that
seen,
it moved, right?
I don't buy that as an explanation anyway.
No, it seemed to be like.
Balls of light can just occur.
Right, and it was like, well, I guess the will-o'-the-wisp thing is like swamp gas.
Yeah, but that's the swamp gas igniting. It's not the same
I
as
know,
saying like
I
when the
know.
plates shift, you might see a ball of light.
Well, it was like the plate shift, and that could release something that could interact with the atmosphere.
So it's like it is.
It's the same kind
It's
of
the same
thing.
concept?
Right? It's just that it's not a swamp, and they're like, well, but because there's a reservoir and there's also like something else in the area, there could have been seismic shifts, and then something squeaks out through rocks, and it
Yeah, another
seemed-
one squeaked out.
Yeah, I got a seismic shift for you. Make. Okay, so I will leave you with this because this is kind of like this is our government's final word on the matter. So why don't I leave you with this and just see how it sits?
The word of G-Man.
Right. So this is a quote from the Weird New Jersey article. This is how they ended it, and this is how we're going to end it. 1 week after Stewart Air Force Base sent down its inexplicable explanation for the Wanacue sightings, the Pentagon offered its own scenario. What hundreds of people had witnessed in the skies over the reservoir. What hundreds of people had witnessed in the skies over the reservoir that January and described as a brilliant white light which floated, hovered, shot up, down, and side to side was, in actuality, according to the great military minds of Washington, nothing more than the planets Venus and Jupiter in a rare celestial alignment. That seems right.
It's funny to explain one, like, like metaphysical, anomalous, paranormal event with another thing that people usually theorize causes paranormal events,
Right.
the aligning of planets.
That's a good point, yeah.
Right? Isn't that
But
weird?
also, would Venus and Jupiter be moving this way and doing this stuff? I don't understand how that
Yeah, I
even-
don't understand how that actually explains it, but it is just like, here's another thing that people have conspiracy theories about
True.
to explain your other conspiracy theory.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right. Totally.
How weird is that?
And also, like, even going back to the thing with the plates shifting and all that kind of stuff, or the idea of swamp gas igniting, like, it seems like you're explaining away something that seems implausible with something that seems equally as implausible.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
even though it's technically possible, like, the odds of those things lining up in just the right way that creates this phenomenon, it seems like almost equally as unlikely as it being a UFO. Like,
Absolutely.
a lot of things would have to be going right for that to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very, and it was happening over the course of like a long period of time.
Right, January, 2 times in January and 1 time in October. There
Yeah,
were little
exactly.
sightings of things in between, but as far as the big events that people, like a ton of people saw and came out for,
Yeah.
that's when they happened.
That's wild.
So they're like, you can look it up. There are tons of newspaper headlines about it. It was a huge deal that I've never heard of.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy when stuff like that happens. The suppression tactics work.
I know, they really do.
I mean, quite frankly, if you were somebody that experienced that, you firmly believe it was real
Mm-hmm.
and true, and then you just get told like, nah, what you saw was a planet.
Oh, that's infuriating.
Yeah.
That'd be so annoying to me.
So infuriating.
I
Like,
mean, and there were lots of quotes of people who were really bugged. I didn't include all that because it would just be repetitive. But yeah, people were like, what? No, that's not what I saw. Like, I saw this with my own eyes. I know myself. I trust myself. Like, what are you talking about? And it's not even just me. Look at all these tons of people who were
Yeah.
standing next to me. What are you talking about?
do you believe it though? Here's a question. Like, like
I don't
it's
know.
it's
I
said.
mean, it's hard to believe if you don't see it with your own eyes, you know? Like, if I had to pick one, then I would believe it.
Yeah.
I guess I would believe that it was either an extraterrestrial thing or some sort of test that they don't want us to know about that is sanctioned by the government, but they maybe don't want to reveal to everybody. But Mom brought up an interesting idea today when I was talking to her about this. She was like, I'm paraphrasing, but she was basically like, well, if they don't want us to know this thing for some reason and it's scary or whatever, like, do I really want to know? Like, maybe I'm happier not knowing.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. And I was like, interesting. She was like, do you really want to know if that's true? If they're trying to hide it so bad, maybe there's like a reason they're trying to hide it. Are you sure you want to know that that's true? And I was like, I do still want to know. But it is an interesting idea.
It is an interesting idea.
Yeah.
You can't go back.
Right.
Once you find out the truth, if you wish you didn't know it, it's too late.
Right. And maybe it's a very scary truth.
Yeah, is
Who
it better?
knows?
Is it better to know, even
Right.
if it's bad for you?
Right. So, like, there are all these ideas about government cover-ups and everything, and I think sometimes they are for reasons that aren't right, and I think that there are things that we should know. But, like, I think it's worth exploring. I'd never thought about it until Mom said it. Like, maybe we can kind of trust them on some things and believe that we're better off not having all this information. I wonder.
I know.
It's an interesting idea.
That's a very interesting notion. Not one
Yeah.
that I'd ever really considered.
Me
I'm used to
neither.
the idea of like the government cover up and how dare they hide it from
Right,
us. Not
right.
like thanks for hiding that from me.
Yeah, right. Like, maybe we don't need to be exposed to something that's, like, potentially terrifying.
Yeah, sometimes the truth
Yeah.
isn't good enough.
Yeah. Sometimes we deserve more.
Well, I have another story
Mm-hmm.
of government cover-ups perhaps. Why would they hide it from us? And how dare they? We demand to get the truth out there.
Yes.
Kristen, I'm going to tell you a little bit. I'm going to scratch the surface.
Okay.
And I don't know if we'll ever come back to this.
All right.
But I'm going to tell you all that I was willing to know.
That's a very good way to phrase a lot of things that we research on the show.
Yes, this is all that I was willing to know
Yeah.
about the flat Earth theory.
Oh my God. I mean, you know that I've been very into this recently.
Really?
Yeah. I talked about it on the live stream that we did last week.
Yeah.
And I talked about it a little bit in our Facebook group. I watched the documentary Behind the Curve.
Perfect.
Did you?
Perfect. Yes, I did.
Great. I'm so ready to talk about this.
Marvelous. Good.
Marvelous. I've been talking about this a lot in the past week.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, good. Then we're well
I
placed.
hung out with listeners Eric and Jenny over the weekend, one of Ryan's friends and coworkers, and we were talking about it then. Yeah, I'm fired up.
Sick. All right, you might be better placed than I am in a way then.
Doubt it.
But I'm going to tell you a bunch of stuff that you already know then, and
But still do it.
This would be telling our listeners and
Yeah.
viewers as well. So I'm gonna back this up a little bit because the theory of the flat Earth, it's a very sort of popular thing right now as a controversial topic
Yeah.
to be like, these idiot people believe that the Earth is flat. How stupid are they? And there's this is some of this stuff is old. I already think that we're like past. I think we've reached the peak of the flat Earth movement, and we're on the other side of it.
There can't be a peak, William. It's flat.
Good point.
Thank you.
But like really, like I feel
Yeah.
like the popularity of this as a concept is waning, and it was
Yeah.
controversial at a time. It was fun to talk about how wacky this is, and I think we're kind of.
I don't know. I have no concept of it. To tell you the truth, I was paranoid after watching that documentary because they talked about how many people there were in it.
Yeah.
And it made me like, well, it's like my doctor and my banker. Like I have a banker. Like, are those flat earthers? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you also don't know if those numbers are real and everything.
Sure.
So who knows?
There are a lot of people at the conference shown in the movie.
Right. But it's funny you're saying it's waning. To me, I feel like it's in a boom.
Really?
Yes.
I feel like I heard
maybe
about.
it's just my awareness of it
Yeah.
is having a boom. But, like, it seems like it has gained steam.
I certainly felt like I saw a lot of people talking about it online probably a year ago. And like making jokes about it, and like it would show up in news segments
Well,
and stuff,
yeah,
and like
yeah,
that's
for
that's
sure.
kind of gone now.
Yeah, I think it was because there was like B.O.B., who's a rapper,
Yeah.
said whatever, so that was like a big news story.
That was a big news story.
I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was like pop culture that made that happen.
People
but-
thought Shaq believed the Earth was flat for a while, and it turned out that he didn't.
Right.
It was just like there was like a weird paranoia of like
Yeah.
we got to find all the idiots who believe this thing.
Right.
Got to round them up.
Ryan freaked me out for a little during that time because he would just kind of like say things that made it sound like he was like, they have some good points or whatever. And I was like, I couldn't tell whether he was joking or not. He was just like very dry.
Yeah.
And I really couldn't tell. I was like, there's no way, but could there be? And he like finally kind of cracked, but
That's great.
He really made me a little nervous
Oh,
for a
that's
little while.
great.
Yeah.
I love that. I love to hear
He
that.
did it masterfully. He just kind of sprinkled it here and there where I was like, you don't believe this, right? And he was like, they make some good points. And I was like,
Oh, that's a genius.
yeah.
So one of the things that initially got me thinking about this, there are a couple. You mentioned on the live stream, our tour guide in Iceland, Kitty, mentioned that there's an entire like period of the year where the sun sets and just comes right back up again. In Iceland, yeah, because it's like so far north. He's like, yeah, the sun sets, it's dark, and then it just starts coming right back up.
How long does it take?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
But it's just crazy,
Yeah.
And like in Alaska, it's dark for like 6 months.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
crazy stuff. So it got me thinking about like how absurd the Earth is.
Yeah.
So the flat Earth theory, as much as it's been like a controversial topic for a while, it goes back a million billion gajillion years.
Yeah.
I think when we were kids, people used to talk about the Earth being flat as like, can you believe how dumb people used to be?
Yeah, totally.
They
Yes.
thought the Earth was flat.
I know.
They thought you could sail right off the end of it.
There's a band called the Flat Earth Society. I don't know if they're still around. They were very on like the New Jersey circuit when
Oh,
I
is that
was
right?
into that. Yeah.
I found this this theory of how the globe is oriented because like throughout human history we've tried to make sense of our world who we are as people and the planet that we live on. What the hell is this
Yeah.
thing? Some people believed that the Earth was like a log floating in a lake. You know, so
like
it's
that.
like circular, but it's almost like cylindrical. It can move, and it's just we're sort of adrift.
Right,
We
right.
must be on some big rock.
Right.
You know.
Right.
It's hard
like
to be
that.
like we're on a big sphere floating in nothing.
You're right.
Which is
Or we're on the back of
what
a
it
giant
is.
turtle.
Back of a giant turtle, maturing the turtle. But here I thought this was kind of wonderful in an odd way. There was a theory that the Earth was like an egg. So this was a theory put forth by a Chinese astronomer, Zhang Heng, in 78 A.D. Described the heavens as spherical. The heavens are like a hen's egg and as round as a crossbow bullet. The Earth is like the yolk of the egg and lies in the center.
I like that.
So it's somewhat similar,
Yeah, it
quite
is,
frankly,
yeah.
where it's just like we're in the middle, there's stuff all around us, but like we're the yolk of an egg, which is
Right.
also like a very sort of like beautiful life
Yeah.
imagery sort
Yeah.
of thing. Like we are the children of planet Earth.
Right.
We're not grown.
Right. I like that.
I really kind of love it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I watched this documentary, which I heard was recommended to the guys at Mega 64 on the Mega 64 podcast. Shout out to Sean Chatfield, who has mentioned Blackwood
Yes.
twice
Yeah.
now
Oh, cool.
on the Mega 64 after show.
Sweet.
And so I got around to watching it. So in the documentary, I thought it was pretty fascinating that I wasn't sure if the documentary was going to be positioned as look at these wacky flat earthers, or here's how intriguing the flat earth theory is, or let's not pick a side
yeah.
at all. And I was kind of surprised that they, at a certain point, it's almost like watching The Office.
Yeah.
The documentary crew is a character in this documentary that I think is at small moments, trying to make their subject look like an idiot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's some shady. Yeah.
And
But they they kind of walk into it.
totally agree.
It's hard not to, but it definitely is
Yeah.
cut like, yeah.
I completely agree. So the documentary primarily follows Mark Sargent.
Did you buy your I Am Mark Sargent t-shirt?
Oh boy, I can't believe he wears shirts that say "I am Mark Sargent."
That's almost my biggest takeaway. That blew my mind.
Yes. So he's essentially here's how wacky this is. The flat Earth theory was popularized by this guy Mark Sargent, not because he came up with it and developed the theory over the course
Right.
of time. He describes it as, I was looking through every conspiracy theory that exists, and I wasn't interested in any of them. And then I picked the dumbest one,
Yeah.
and it was the Flat Earth Society. He himself says this.
Yeah.
In the documentary, he says, like, it was basically like reaching for a book on a shelf called How to Make a Poop Sandwich.
Yeah.
Who would ever want that? Who cares about this? But I picked it up, I read it, and I found it fascinating. So he himself calls the theory stupid. And
Yeah.
some of that is to support how groundbreaking it is that he's like, and yet, it's one of the most important theories
Right.
ever posited.
Right. I feel
But
like
at
it's
the s-
acknowledging to the audience, like, I get it. I know this is kooky.
Right.
But I believe it.
Yes.
And, like, if I can believe it, knowing that it sounds nuts, that gives it more credence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yet I still can't stop myself from hearing, I just set about trying to pick a conspiracy theory
Right.
to make mine.
Right. Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
And so he put out a bunch of videos online talking about the flat earth theory that just gained a lot of traction and got a lot of people going like, oh my God, you're right.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is that he would posit theories that would be emotionally true and empirically, like, per you as an individual, how you feel about things, you'd be like, yeah, you're right. That makes a lot of sense. Even though it flies completely in the face of science.
Yes.
So I didn't know. I think the other important thing that I want to say about all this is that up to now, I have had zero awareness of what the flat Earth Society believers
Yeah.
do, what they really think. To some extent, I thought that they were kidding. I thought maybe that they were trying to provoke people.
Yeah.
And just like be contrarian.
Right. Kind of like, I always get them mixed up, whether it's the Church of Satan or, what's the other thing? The Temple of Satan? I can't remember.
Yeah,
But,
right.
Satanists who it's not really about worshiping Satan, but it's just kind of about being contrarian to like what good Christian family beliefs are or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And especially
Satan's like a symbol. So was the flat earth just like a symbol of being like, whatever.
Yeah, and especially like today, like I don't want to get political or anything, but like especially today, it seems like even people that are fans of the president make fun of him in a very similar way to the people who don't like the president. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like a lot of people make fun of the thing they do believe in genuinely.
Yeah, so it's
Now-
like affectionate.
Yeah,
making
so I
fun.
can't even
Yeah.
tell if anyone's serious
Yeah,
about anything
right,
anymore.
right.
So I kind of thought flat earthers thought it was stupid.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
like people who believe in the flying spaghetti monster. Or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
But no, it's all true.
Yeah, no, it's genuine.
So I was really excited to find out why they think that, and here's what I think it boils down to.
Yeah.
This is said in the documentary. I'm not.
Yes.
This is not conjecture, but as far as I can tell, this has to just be it. So we're on Earth, and the Earth is rotating,
Right.
and as it's rotating, it's orbiting the sun.
Right.
So it's both spinning itself and it's rotating around a thing.
Yeah.
So that's double spinning.
Right.
And the entire solar system is moving.
Yeah.
So this whole thing, right now, you and I, and everybody watching or listening to us right now, is sitting on a planet that is spinning and rotating and moving around.
Yeah.
And we feel none of it.
Right.
You can put an egg on the table and it ain't wobbling.
Right.
It's sitting perfectly still. Well, if we're all sitting here perfectly still, how can we be spinning and rotating and moving around in the universe?
Right.
That is all it is.
It's that, and also if you look out at the horizon,
Right.
it's straight.
It's straight. If you look out at the horizon, you can see really, really, really far.
Right.
And some of the evidence was Mark Shepard standing on the
Mark
coast.
Sargent.
Mark Sargent,
Yeah.
thank you. Standing on the coast and pointing out at where Seattle is from wherever he lives and going,
Right.
there it is. There's Seattle off in the distance.
Yeah.
If the Earth was a ball, if it was a sphere, I would only be able to see the top of those buildings. Why can I see all of Seattle right now?
Right.
Obviously, the Earth is flat. And they tried to tell us to deny what we see with our own eyes.
It's not that it's just really big or.
It's not just that it's hugely gigantic, and
Yeah.
so the curve isn't. If the curve was so drastic
It'd be
that
teeny.
it would be so small.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Sure. But I guess what I find very interesting about these two theories, not to give them credence, but what I
Sure.
find really interesting about them, one is they seem to have mislearned something that's really important to learn. So in the documentary, they bring us to another guy who's balancing a ping pong ball on two hammers
Oh, God.
as he states all of the elements of
This
the
guy
elemental table.
is not right.
Let's not cast any judgments. All I'm saying is what I
No.
saw. He was balancing a ping pong ball on a couple of hammers and saying every element that exists
Yes,
to
but-
prove that he is smart.
He's just very aggressive,
Yes.
this guy. He's going up to people, like, cold calling in person, like, reaching into their cars, basically.
Yeah. Oh,
into
not
their-
basically.
Yeah.
He reaches into someone's car
Yeah.
and goes like, "Hey, have you heard anyone ever tell you the Earth is flat?"
Yeah.
And a woman's like,
What?
"What?"
It's like, violating people's space.
so distracted. She was in another world. Huh? What? Who are you?
William, it ain't right.
No, I agree. And he's also one of these people that he put up a YouTube video of himself. He confronted a NASA employee in a Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "How dare you lie to the American people?" And then when they kick him out, he's going, "Oh, I'm getting kicked out of a Starbucks for asking the question. Getting kicked out of a Starbucks for asking a simple question," as if it's like
Yeah.
it's the question, it's the act of questioning somebody. Like the lesson that he learned
that-
from this
right.
is that I asked a question in a Starbucks, not that I was shouting
Yeah.
and harassing someone.
And again, being, like, aggressive and abusive in that instance.
Right,
like,
yeah. Exactly. Like when people get kicked out of a place and they're like, "Oh, I guess I'm not allowed to spend my money here." And they're ignoring the fact that they don't have pants on.
Right. Like, that's not the issue,
You got
sir.
kicked out for the pants thing,
Yeah.
not for trying to buy something.
Right.
Like just what is happening? Anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that they've learned something. They're using good knowledge in a very interesting way. That guy with the ping pong balls and the shouting, he is.
Yes.
So one of the next things that he simultaneously does, I got the gist that with him doing things simultaneously is a huge display of intelligence. So he's driving a car.
notice.
He's driving a car.
Oh my God, that was
He's it was incredible. Everybody watch what's it called?
Behind the Curve
Everybody
on
watch
Netflix.
Behind the Curve on Netflix. So he's driving a car. The documentary camera person is sitting in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
You can tell from the angle. And as the guy's driving the car and talking about his theories about the flat Earth, he's like, "I got a couple of books you should read." And he reaches into the back seat and he takes them and he's like, "You should read this." And he drops it and he goes, "This and this." He goes, "Actually, I want to read to you from this real quick." And he flips open the book as he's driving the car.
it was
And he starts reading
shocking.
Yeah.
And reads like a long passage, like just straight up looking at the page. It's not like he was driving and looking up, down, glance down. He was just reading this book.
The point is, it's perfectly safe for him to do that because he's perfectly,
Oh my
he's
God.
super intelligent.
That was
He can balance a ping pong ball on a couple of hammers. He can read a book while driving a car.
that was crazy.
So one of the books that he suggested is George Orwell's 1984.
Yes.
In 1984, they tell you that that Big Brother is going to tell you to deny your eyes and ears. The things that you see and hear should not be believed. Trust what we tell you, rather than the things that you're seeing and hearing. That's a very important lesson
Yeah.
to not let people take advantage of you.
Right.
But what they have manipulated it into being is, well, I feel like I'm sitting still.
Yeah, right.
I
There's-
feel like I can see Seattle across this
Yeah.
body of water.
That's what I'm experiencing, so it must be true.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the right lesson learned wrong.
It's like applied in the wrong way. Like
Yeah.
you're missing scope and perspective.
which is truly fascinating because
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely don't know how you argue back from that.
I don't know.
There was a point I thought it was really interesting, and I didn't know how to make the segue, so I just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But before you were talking about the UFOs at Wanacue and saying that like the government said it was a weather balloon, all these
Yeah.
things, and I asked you like, do you believe it? Your response was, I'd have to see it. In this documentary, there's a woman named Patricia Steer. She's another does a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Her YouTube show is the best name.
It has I thought of you when I heard her YouTube show.
I died. Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes? What are you kidding me?
That's a great name.
That's a great name.
And then she went, this is a secret show. And then later on she referred to it as
remember.
The Secret Show. Where I was
Oh,
like, so
yeah.
wait, is it Flat Earth and Other Potatoes, The Secret Show? Which is a lot. but
Flat
they're all
Earth and
great
Other
names.
Hot Potatoes.
Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. I love it. I genuinely love it.
No, me too. I love it. I died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, at a certain point, they're asking her.
And she also, I'm sorry, she also, it's such like a kind of goofy name, but she has like a very like radio, like I think like a little sultry voice. So she's like, "Welcome back to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes." It's
Yeah.
so funny.
Well, they're charismatic people.
Oh, they're super charismatic.
Mark
But
Sargent
it's so
and
funny to have this,
Patricia
like,
Steer.
straightforward
Yeah.
reading of what to me is like kind of a fun name.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like,
Do
the
you
thing
ship
is,
them?
I think they're.
I
How
ship-
can you not?
I shipped the hell out of Mark
I'm
Sargent
sorry.
and Patricia Steer.
How can you not?
I went directly to their Instagrams to see what kind of interaction we're looking at. They're still popping up in each other's Instagrams and everything.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have a will they won't they tension. I think they enjoy that tension. I think they find it delicious. I don't think they're gonna act on it.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know how they can deny
I think
the
they
spark.
like it. I don't think they're denying the spark, but I think they enjoy this. I think they enjoy the spark. They don't need it to grow into a flame that burns out.
There's an entire subplot of the documentary that deals specifically with their potential romantic relationship, which was odd subject matter for the documentary, quite
I
frankly.
disagree.
And yet, at the end of the documentary, they both approach a podium at the same time, she wearing all white, he wearing a suit with neon glasses and a neon bow tie.
Hell yeah.
All that was missing was somebody to just say the words, "You're married now."
Somehow, like how Ted Bundy like married himself and Carol Boone.
Yeah.
Like during the court proceedings because there's a judge there, so there's like a weird loophole.
Yes.
If somebody at that Flat Earth convention had just done that, they would have been happy. They would
Yes.
have been like, "Look,
Well, now it's done.
it's done. We can stop going around this."
I guess we're just married now.
You know what? Not unlike. Well, wait. Hang on. Not unlike the way the Earth rotates on its own and it also rotates around the sun, so do Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer, but they don't cotton to that
They're
theory.
orbiting to each other.
But they don't cotton to that theory, William.
Yeah.
So I think that's why things are just going to be flat. They're just going to keep it flat. Status quo.
They
Things
may
are
not cotton to
smooth.
it, but I think Eli Whitney is weaving together their separate loves.
Their stories.
Yeah, their stories.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, no, it's at a certain point she's so not only do these people believe in the flat earth, they also talk about a lot of the other conspiracy theories that they believe in, some of which I find offensive.
Yep.
And one of hers is she goes on record, she says, like,
she,
I've often
she did
said,
take a sharp left, yeah.
oh boy.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. But she, at one point, she says, if there was a story of another bombing, I wouldn't believe it unless I was there and my leg was blown off. That's a very, and granted, this is going to be a very odd point to make.
Yeah.
You can take people at their word only to a certain point when they're being filmed.
Yeah, totally.
It's
yeah.
all a heightened reality.
Right.
You might say something that is uncharacteristic for yourself that you would disagree with if the camera weren't on.
Yeah,
You become a character.
Yeah.
You become a caricature of yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take her at her word. But I hope that that's not really true, because that's a very hard-line stance.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
a denial of the existence of everything except your own experience.
Right. Well, something that I think is interesting about the flat earth theory is that, like, if you believe that the earth is flat, that, you would think that that's one thing, but it's
Right.
not. If you believe it's flat, you inherently automatically have to believe that there's a conspiracy keeping us all from that information.
Yes.
So it's really not something that's just its own thing. It branches into this very big deal, very involved theory.
Right.
And so if you can believe the theory that for whatever reason we are all being duped into believing that the earth is round, I think it's only a hop, skip, and a jump to be like, okay, I'm all in on the theory that they're keeping something huge from
Yeah.
me. What other things are they keeping from me?
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it makes total sense. You're right. It's
It's very extreme just in its very nature.
yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
If you believe, if you're going to go on record, if you're going to tell yourself, I believe the earth is flat, then why are there all these globes all over the place?
Right. Well, they take big umbrage with that.
Maybe everybody's wrong. Oh, but wait, why have we seen photographs of the earth
Right.
as a ball? Those must be fake.
Right, there are tons
Who's
of
faking
lies.
them? Yes,
Yeah.
it all starts to fall
Tons.
apart.
Yeah.
The simple act of having this one contrarian belief opts you in
Right.
to such a bigger mode of conspiratorial thinking.
Yeah.
And it seems lonely.
It seems lonely, but also, like, I think that a big part of it is the community aspect of it. Like, I think that I wonder if a good amount of people who are, like, buy into the flat earth theory, and not only buy into it or believe it, but, like, find community in that, feel kind of marginalized or other in their lives. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like a weird, like, taking it back sort of thing. So, like, I've been sort of, like, isolated and I feel wronged in some way. So I'm going to join up with a bunch of other people who do. And now we're all right together. When I'm
Yeah.
in this community, I'm right. And I'm not alone or whatever. Like, I kind
And
of
I think
there's something to that.
I think that's probably true, because I think that's what we all do.
Oh,
With a
totally.
lot of things. Like we gravitate toward other like-minded people.
Yeah. There's just a very them and us sort
Yeah.
of delineation with people who believe in flat earth that doesn't feel that.
Yeah. Plus,
Yeah.
plus, I mean, even further than that, it's like it's dangerous thinking to deny
Yeah.
science and the ability to reason.
Yeah.
A big part of the documentary is about proving it.
Oh, boy.
And the fact that, like, flat earthers, they want the earth to be flat, so they
They
test.
kind of need it to be,
Yeah.
because some of them, not all, but some of them, their lives are, like, completely wrapped up in this. Like, this is their community.
Yeah.
This is their church, for lack
Yeah.
of a better word. Like, this is their whole thing. So, like, they need this to be true, because that all like the same way that, like, if you believe that it's flat, you automatically believe there's a conspiracy. If you now believe or have been proven that it's round, like, your whole world kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
So, like, they need it to be true.
Yeah, and one of the things that they do is, like, they say that that, like, science is against them because they're pushing the globe as a ball
Right.
theory. But then you see them do their own experiments where they come up with results that suggest the Earth has a curve to it,
Right.
and then go like, well, there must be something wrong with the equipment.
Right.
So they're not there. Somebody says it in the document because they're interviewing a lot of people that are part of the Flat Earth Society who believe, and they interview a lot of scientists. And one of them says like, what science is meant to do is we might have a theory. So we'll do a bunch of experiments to see if we can prove the theory. And if our experiments suggest that our theory was wrong, then we have an answer.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
But what the flat earthers are doing with their experiments is, see, we're going to prove the Earth is flat. And so they will test. They had one thing where it was, they realized, so the Earth spins on its own axis once every 24 hours. Sunrise, sunset. The sun's not moving. We're spinning.
Right.
So as the globe spins, the sun rises and sets. So that means every hour we move 15 degrees rather than the full 360. So there's a specific gyro that can measure very precise movement.
Right.
So they're like, so we're going to prove, we're going to buy this really expensive gyro.
It's like $250,000.
They buy it.
Yeah.
And it shows that it registers a 15-degree shift every hour.
Right.
And they go, well, but that might be being affected. That might be measuring the sky, not the Earth. Because they also think, I probably should have said this at the top, there are dueling theories in the Flat Earth Society, but one of the popular ones put forth in the documentary is that there's a dome above us.
Yeah.
The stars, the sun and moon, are literally a projection.
Right.
Like a movie.
And that's like the Truman Show. They show clips from the Truman Show, and Mark Sargent uses the Truman Show as an example of what's going on.
Yes. Literally, that we are inside a giant soundstage.
Right.
If you went up far enough, you'd hit a ceiling.
Right.
On which stars are projected. So they're like, well, maybe this gyro is measuring the sky and not the Earth. So we got to put it in a special tube. While it's still showing a 15-degree shift every
while
hour.
it's in that tube.
We need another special tube. And it's like,
so like
you had your answer.
And they're
you
just trying
rejected
to now encase it in things
Yeah.
that will basically keep it from functioning properly.
Right. That's right.
They're just trying to break it.
Yes. The documentary ends with another group of flat earthers doing a test to see, like, if you shine a light straight.
Right.
Right. This is
maybe
this is
that's
what we
the
feel.
$250,000 thing. Something was $250,000 that a person bought. And
Oh, I thought it was the
donated.
gyro.
It might be, but I think this laser was very expensive too. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So they basically, it looks like, if you stand on an empty enough plane, it all looks flat.
Right.
Right. So they want to shine a light straight, and the theory is that it's going to land at the same spot.
Right.
On like a pole over there, or whatever the hell. But if the world were flat, if the globe were round, I'm sorry, it's got me all jumbled.
Yeah.
If the globe is round, then the thing will actually be on an angle.
Right.
And it's on an angle.
Right.
And they're like, well, there's weeds in the way.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so shocking because they're so intelligent. And I'm doing what the scientific community expressly says is not helping the situation by going like what they did, but I'm talking about the Flat Earther Society as a whole. The things that these people do in the movie are based on so much like intelligence and understanding of how things would work were the Earth flat.
I wouldn't necessarily have the idea to do that experiment.
No, there's no way.
It's a smart, that's a good thing
They
to do.
definitely know more than me.
Yeah.
They definitely know more about a lot of stuff than me. They just have this one thing that they need to be true.
Right. Right.
And
remember that guy who was part of the experiment with the gyroscope thing, whatever? There was a part where it seemed like he was trying to level with somebody else about how it wasn't working. Like he was talking to somebody else, they're like outside at night at a party or something, and he was like, yeah, it's not looking good, man. It's like, it's not good. And it seemed like he was trying to be a little bit like, can we acknowledge like a little something, like not in a big way. It wasn't like a big aha in the movie or anything, but he wasn't being like, yeah, we're gonna get it, whatever. He was like, yeah, it's not, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Like this is a problem for us. And it seemed like he knew that like this is proving that there's a curve to the world. Like this is tough stuff for us. But the other guy just invited. He was just like, yeah, well, we'll do whatever. And the guy kind of got off the topic. But I was like, when these things happen, these people know some part of them. Maybe not. It depends
I
on the
don't
person,
think.
but,
I think it's really easy to say that people like this are stupid,
They're
or
definitely not stupid.
no, but
yeah.
but like you hear that,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people being like, "Can you believe?" And like it's a shocking, odd thing
Yeah.
to have come up and
Yeah.
to have this much traction.
Yeah.
But like it seems like these are all people that have like found a cause that they want to rally around.
Right.
And like if this were about anything else,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be completely like, yeah, that's just like our thing. But it's like
Well, there's an intensity.
there's an intensity
yeah.
to it, and there's like there's like a trend of like I honestly think at a certain point some of the stuff that like I was thinking about this the other day. Some of the stuff that we like talk about on this show, Will-o'-the-wisps.
Yeah.
Right? It looked like it was this like thing off in the distance. You get closer to it and it's gone. What
Yeah.
the hell was that? Okay, well it's a little monster and it's trying to lure you into the bog. It's going to drown you in the bog. It's like
Yeah.
a fun, fanciful story. It teaches you a lesson. It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels right. You pass it on. It sticks in your head. And then you find out the truth. It's it's bog gas
Yeah.
igniting for a moment.
Right.
That's not fun.
Right. No.
It's not fun.
Yeah,
it's not
fun
interesting.
and exciting to think that you're on to something.
Yeah.
And that there is mystery.
Yes.
Obviously, I love that.
Yeah. And like the fact of the matter is, like the globe has been filled in. We know where everything
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
We don't know what's at the bottom of the ocean. That's a big one that
Right.
I would like to know.
Yeah.
We don't know about outer space.
Yeah.
But we know a lot about the Earth.
Right.
And we know enough about like the laws of nature and physics and everything that even if we haven't seen something, we can come
We
up
can still
with a
rationalize
model.
it, yeah.
We can rationalize it. We can come up with a model to explain what's happening and how.
And there are probably things that's related to that we can like compare it to, be like, oh, this is like that,
Yeah.
and understand
Yes.
it that way.
The mysteries have gone away.
Yeah,
We have access to all the knowledge
Yeah.
of the world on everything we own.
Yeah.
It has a little screen. You can Google something real quick and you have your answer.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
And I think at a certain point you reject the just having the answers provided for you. There's a whole thing that the flat earthers I think have also pointed out in humanity today that is a really valid point. And it's been talked about in plenty of places, but it's the idea of taking science on faith. Like I have not seen
Yeah.
the Earth from outer space.
Yeah,
I have
right.
only seen photos of the Earth as a globe.
Sure.
And yet I believe
Yeah.
that the Earth is a ball.
Yeah.
I have not looked at the actual fossils that show how evolution has been charted across millennia, but people have told me about it and they seem pretty smart. So
Yeah.
I believe it.
yeah,
I operate on faith that science has been right.
absolutely.
I don't have the facts myself.
It's completely true. It's a very good point.
And so I can't dispute. I would be useless in a debate
Oh God.
with somebody who vehemently denies that evolution is real.
Yeah.
They would win the debate against me
Totally.
because I would just go like, no, it's true.
Yeah.
At a certain point, my back would be
It
against
just
the wall.
is.
But I think that if we can allow ourselves to believe in science,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
People did the work for us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I
We
mean,
can
also-
benefit from thousands of years of human progress.
It's simple. It seems like, there's enough evidence. It's kind of stacked up. We've seen, lots of fossils from different people in different places and everything. That all seems to check out even though we haven't actually seen it.
Yeah.
And like, why lie, basically?
Yeah, I don't really know.
What's the motivation?
I don't-
You know what I mean?
I don't
so
know.
it definitely is faith, because if it's either faith or like in front of you, yeah, I haven't seen it, so I'm going on faith that it's true. But I'm also just kind of like, well, yeah, why? What's the point? Why would they lie?
Yeah, why would they lie?
What
And I don't
benefit?
really understand what I'm being
That's something
kept
I
from.
don't totally understand. Why are they lying to us about this, about the Earth being flat? I don't get
Yeah.
it. What's the benefit?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where they keep? Why?
I'm not sure. And there are plenty of problems that we all still deal with in our own individual lives, and there's plenty of like people who like completely excel
Right.
in life and get to live very long, fulfilling,
Yeah.
rich lives, that it's not like we're being kept down.
No. Like, what is the globe model saving us from?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. I'm not
I don't understand.
I'm not sure. I think it might
Yeah.
just be the pursuit of knowledge,
Yeah.
right? And wanting to know what the world is and your place in it,
Uh-huh.
and the idea that you might be living in a world where people are keeping the truth from you,
Yeah.
is scary,
Right.
and unfair,
Mm-hmm.
and cannot let this stand.
Right.
I think
guess it
I think
kind of
that's
goes back
what it is.
to it's not the mom theory, But the mom school of thought, or the mommy posit,
Right.
like, so okay, maybe they are keeping stuff from us. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Could it be that, or just like absolutely not? It seems like for flat Earth people, it's like no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I guess so. And like in a world where like the Earth is flat and they've been telling us it's a globe, good on you for exposing it, but there's plenty of ways to prove that's not the case, and you keep proving it's not the case.
Right, you're doing the work.
You're proving to yourself that it's not the case, and you're rejecting your own evidence.
It's just like willful ignorance.
Yes, and if it were anything else other than like teaching people how to hold themselves back by learning the right lessons the wrong way,
Right.
it would be fine. Like
Yeah.
I believe that like it's important for you to like find the thing that you care about, and find
Totally.
other people that care about the same thing as you, and have your own like sort of support group in life. We're only
Yeah,
here for a
of
finite period of
course.
time. You need to find the place that you belong and that you can be your best self.
Yeah.
This is something that like even if it sometimes seems goofy and sometimes seems innocuous,
Yeah.
I think in theory it's kind of harmful.
I was about to say, the thing is,
Yeah.
I agree with everything you just said, but again, I keep saying it, but with this theory, you are inherently buying into a massive distrust on a fundamental
Yes.
level. And I have to think that even if it's not like conscious or happening all the time in big ways, that's affecting your life and your relationships
Oh,
in other
100%.
ways. You can't trust anything. So that means you can't trust your friends necessarily, or like just anybody.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's on a fundamental, like deep level for some of these people.
Yeah, Patricia Steer. She said they were like, "Who would you trust?
Yeah.
Who do you trust?" And she's like, "Myself."
Yeah.
This is after we've seen her entire relationship with Mark Sargent. We've seen the connections that she can make with other people.
Yeah.
Even within that society, they don't trust each other.
Right, and that's not as unified as you would want a group to be there. Where you like, how can you feel safe in that?
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know.
I don't know.
There's an entire passage of it where Patricia Steer starts talking about conspiracy theories that have come out about her. The last three letters of her first name, Patricia, are
Oh, yeah.
CIA. Therefore, she must be in the CIA.
Yeah.
And she is steering people in the wrong direction because her last name is Steer.
Right.
And she points out, she's saying this, and she's driving
I
a
know.
car, and she's going like, as if the government would be so stupid to give me the name Steer because I'm steering people the wrong way. Why would they be that dumb?
Right.
And you immediately start going like, well, why would they be dumb about the stuff that you think that they're doing?
Right.
Like, how have they been dumb enough that you've caught them?
right.
If they can't be caught. And then she goes, I've heard rumors that I'm not even a real person. And she goes like, and then she gets to a point where she's like, and they seem to really believe this stuff. So either they genuinely believe it, or deep down they don't believe it and they're just
Oh,
saying
I know, that
it.
part was so interesting. Yeah.
And then she goes, and it really makes me scared because I start to wonder,
Yeah.
am I just another version of them?
right.
And it was, again, I think a really good example of how the people who believe in this are capable of like the introspection.
Right.
They're not the clowns that people have made them out to be. They're people that have just ended up at the wrong conclusion.
Right.
And I think are
And they're
looking
making
for
a
answers.
choice to stick with it.
They're making a choice to stick with it.
Yeah, like, I think,
that's the
again,
biggest problem
yeah.
of all is
Right.
that I don't know.
Because I do think, like, I mean, again, I don't know anybody individually, whatever, but I do believe, I think deep down, because they are smart people, I think a lot of them have to know that, like, this doesn't really completely hold water. But, like, they've bought into it so much and their community and life is around it that they just have to stick with it or else everything changes.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
So Stephen
I found
Colbert,
it so interesting.
way back at the beginning of the Colbert Report,
Mm-hmm.
which was like 2008 or 2009, episode 1,
Yeah.
he coined the term truthiness.
Oh, yeah.
And it was all about, it's not about what is real, it's about what feels real. And he goes, now, if you don't believe that, or he says like truthiness. He's like, if you don't think that's a word, that's because you looked it up in a book. Next time, look it up in your gut. Feels
It's
real.
so good.
And it's true. It's like
Yeah.
where we are as a society to
Yeah.
a certain extent is that like what I think is real and what seems personally significant to me is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And you disagreeing with me means that
Yeah.
you and I are at odds.
I mean, it depends on your personality. You know what I mean? Like, I guess if you boil it down, like literally you're at odds, but you could not care, not feel that way about
You
it.
could.
You know?
You could, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of people do. I think the vast majority of people
yes.
don't fly to these sorts of extremes.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that
Oh,
that do.
absolutely.
A lot of people, and a
'Cause
lot
I'm
of the
sure
most
there-
vocal people. Yeah.
Yeah, there are things I'm sure I feel truthy about,
Sure.
you know, like afterlife-y stuff and just weird things that I don't know about but just feel right to me. But like if somebody doesn't believe in it, I don't feel like
Yes, I definitely,
And
I
I'm sure there
definitely
are
believe a few
tons
things
of
that are at
people.
odds with reality.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
sure there are tons of people who are that way, but they definitely were focusing on like well, first of all, they found some colorful characters in the Flat Earth community, which were
Yeah.
Mark Sargent, Patricia Steere, that guy. I can't remember what his name was. And then they were at a convention. So it's
Daryl
obvious-
Marble.
Okay.
Daryl Marble.
Okay.
And Chris Pontius.
Oh, I know. I died. That's the guy I think who was like, this doesn't really look good, right?
That's not really looking good.
Yeah. And like hoping somebody would level with him for a second and be like, I know, but
Can we
I
still
don't-
hang out if we don't believe all this?
Right. I don't think he was looking for a huge confession like, I know. So do you not think it's real? I think he just wanted somebody to talk to be like, I know, but we'll get through it. We'll do more tests. But he just wanted a moment of like truth and like not a
Yeah.
showiness thing of being like, this isn't looking great. And he
What are you
didn't
supposed
get
to
it.
do when there's nobody that you can turn to
I
who
know.
will level
It's-
with you?
I felt really bad for him. That's
Yeah.
why it stuck with me. It was a 30-second, 10-second thing, but I was like, oh, this guy.
It seems really lonely. There's a lot of infighting, and they
Yeah.
can't believe anybody but themselves. You're
Right.
in it alone, even
Right.
within your own community.
Right, and I think even when like so I'm making it up, obviously, but I would imagine if there was a flat earther who's all about this, who hears us say it's very lonely, or anybody else, 'cause I'm sure other people say much worse things about this. Like, no, these are like my brothers and sisters in arms or whatever.
Yeah.
But it feels to me like that level is kind of like a very superficial connectedness. Like, yeah, we're uniting about this like surface level thing that we all believe in, but then like below the surface of that of like who you can count on and everything, your worldview is inherently that you can't trust. So
Can't
like,
trust.
how actually united are you?
Yep.
You know?
There are a lot of people that didn't
Which is
turn
a
up.
lonely feeling, that deep feeling of not having that. It's fun to have that surface level of like we like the same thing, but without that deeper feeling of like trust and safety and like we got each other, like life doesn't feel good without that.
No. Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of people that did not show up to the Flat Earth conference shown in the documentary because a theory was put forth that Mark Shepard,
right.
Mark
Oh,
Sargent,
man. Yeah.
is some guy named like
I don't remember.
Gordon Plummer,
Yeah.
and he's an actor,
Right.
from Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that guy was very extreme. Do you remember what that guy's name was?
I don't remember his name. He was from NASA, and he
Yeah.
claims that somebody at NASA told him that the Earth is flat, and it really set him off.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
the guy that created the flat Earth theory.
Right, and
so
he
to
feels
that
that
point,
Mark
I feel
Sargent like stole it from him because
Yeah.
Mark Sargent kind of took the idea, and then it got popular when he was doing videos.
yeah, this guy doesn't play nice with others, though. I
No.
don't remember his name. The fact that he was the reason that we're even talking about this at all,
Yeah.
ultimately back means that we should probably know his name.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, he just seemed like he like does not want to be part of
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I think he wants attention, but he doesn't want to be part of that group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what else there is to say
Yeah.
about it. I thought it was. I really, truly, up until watching the documentary, thought that even the people who believed in it didn't believe in it. And
I know, I'm surprised.
maybe that's still true, right?
Maybe
like,
for some of them, sure.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
for some of them that are in it,
Yeah,
they're,
it's a
they're-
lark.
It's well, not even. But I don't even know.
I-
Maybe some of them are in it like and consciously being like, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
But I really do think that probably a lot of them, exactly what you were just saying before,
Mm-hmm.
are like, hell yeah, the Earth is flat, and we're gonna finally bring the truth to the people. This will be taught in school,
Mm-hmm.
and under the surface, they're like, it's really not looking good.
Yeah.
I
have to think that there are a lot of people who feel
think
that
there
way.
there
yeah.
have to be a lot of people.
Yeah, but it feels good to feel united on that surface level.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
Very fascinating.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, everybody check out Behind the Curve.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's the flat Earth theory in a nutshell.
I'm very interested. I'm so glad you did that today because I've been like thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, it's a hard one, and there's so many more places to go with it too. That's why
Yeah.
it's like. That's why I said like this is basically scratching the surface of the idea because there's so
Yeah.
many more things. I checked out the Flat Earth Society website where they have a frequently asked questions section where it's like, well, okay, how does weather happen? How do all these things happen? And
Wow.
they have
That's a good-
explanations.
yeah.
They have explanations for all of them.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, how come compasses only point to the poles?
Right.
And like, well, there's a reason for that. You hold your compass, which is flat, by the way,
Right.
and you're supposed to go like, yeah, you're right. Compasses are
flat.
flat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How can we find directions on a sphere with a flat object? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
and
totally.
it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And if you don't think about it, it feels good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
like, oh, I get that. I made this connection. Also, yeah, making connections feels good.
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, again, Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
Think about it. I haven't.
Right. He's so good.
He is so good.
Yeah.
That's Amy Sedaris too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have nothing more to say about it right
Yeah.
now. It sort of boils my brain because on the one hand, I feel a lot of empathy and sympathy for the people shown in the documentary.
Right.
And I feel bad because I also do believe that a lot of people that are in positions like people like this who've been told in like media and the news and stuff
Yeah.
how dumb and stupid
Right.
and unbelievable and
Yeah, that has to
and
feel like
corny
crap.
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that really sucks.
I don't know. I would not feel good if I were
no.
in that position, and knowing myself, I would immediately go to being contrarian.
Yeah.
And plant my flag.
Yeah,
even
I mean,
harder.
it is that thing of like when you reject people, sometimes it does make them just like dig their heels in
Yeah.
and be like, fine. Like and it creates that us against them kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Which I just don't think is like healthy, and I've absolutely been guilty of doing that in the past.
Oh, totally.
Uh,
I don't know. I it's very mixed baggy for me the way that I feel about it and people who believe in flat Earth because
Depending
like
on the-
I have,
yeah.
you know, like empathy and understanding for it, but at the same time, I do think it's so inherently insidious
Yes, I agree.
that I think it's
Yeah, I don't
dangerous.
mean to. Yeah, I don't mean to be like. So go put your arm around your flat earther friend and
No, I
say
don't
what
think
you're
that's-
doing is right.
I don't think that's what you're saying at all.
No,
Yeah.
it's just like we're all people and none of us are. It's just what everybody.
I know,
It's
I
just what
know.
everybody's always said forever. Is like we're all
Yeah.
just humans, just trying to like figure something out.
Totally.
We'll be dead soon. So like let's all just kind of try to be nice to each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Somebody, one of like the scientists that they interviewed was like, we expect everybody to meet us halfway as well,
Right,
right?
right.
Like we're not going to really approach them and go like, yeah, you're right too. So are we. Let's agree to disagree, whatever.
Right.
Instead, what we do is say you're an idiot,
Right.
and you're a fool for saying all these things. We put your back against the wall and expect you to meet us halfway
Right.
still,
Totally.
and want to learn
Right.
the correct answers.
Right.
When really we're not sitting at the table evenly anymore.
Totally.
I have talked to you over there into the corner.
Absolutely.
Now it's twice as hard for you
Yeah.
to come back to the table because
Yeah.
I've told you what an idiot you are this
Right.
entire time.
Right. It's completely true.
And I totally believe in that.
It's similar to like how we tend to judge ourselves by our intentions, but we judge other people by their actions.
yeah.
Like you gotta close that gap.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's
Yeah.
hard too. I don't think there's.
Of course it's hard.
There's
Yeah,
not an
I know.
answer
I'm
for
not
it, and like I know that tomorrow I'll read something where I'll be like, "These idiots!"
No.
like I know it.
Of course.
But yeah, off of
it's interesting to think about and talk about and like intellectualize, but like actually acting that way and feeling is a different thing. But it's
Absolutely.
something. But you know what? The more you intellectualize it and talk about it, the more that you like do integrate it possibly into the way that you think and act. So
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Try to be
Yeah. Be
good
nice.
and kind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's as good as naturally being
That's-
good and kind.
Yes, absolutely. The end result is the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 It's hard. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. This all.
It's hard, whatever is a good note to end on.
It's hard. Whatever.
Try to be good and kind. It's as good as actually being good and kind. It's hard, whatever.
Whatever.
I feel like that's a great way to sum up
We all got to
everything.
move on. We're all
Yeah.
going to need to go to sleep soon too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all good. But yeah, what a
I want
fascinating.
to write that down, Will.
Yeah, what like a fascinating
I know.
thing that exists.
Yeah, totally.
There you have it.
There you have it.
All right.
All right, guys. We're at the end of another show. We're at the edge of the show, the edge of the earth.
The ice
of the
wall
show.
that surrounds the
Right.
show.
By the way, I know they're trying to save up enough money to send somebody to the edge of the earth. And one of the questions I have about that is, no flat earthers just happen to live there?
Nope.
All the flat earthers are in the middle?
Yes, we're all in here.
Right.
Yeah. Some of my things that I always think about are like, it takes a shorter distance to travel. Like if you're by the pole.
Right.
Why is that?
Right.
Or like if you keep going east,
Yeah.
eventually you'll end up back where you were
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Right. Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows?
I don't know. So like you're either constantly taking a left-hand turn
Right.
if the earth is flat,
Right.
or you can literally just walk straight until you're right back where you are.
Right.
And that would prove the earth is round.
Right.
Lots of ways to prove the earth is round.
Yeah, what about
As the
people who,
flat
like,
earthers have taught us, it's way harder to prove the Earth is flat than it is to prove that it's round.
Yeah, what about like around the world? Well, I don't remember. But people who travel around the world, how'd that happen?
Around the world, well, do you believe it even happened? I didn't
know,
see
that's
it
the thing,
happen.
I know.
That was another thing that I thought. I take on faith that a lot of these things have been done correctly. And as much as it's not correct to meet these deniers on their terms,
Right.
hell, why don't we just do them all over again?
Yeah.
It would be kind of fun,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? I would watch a show where they prove the Earth is round.
Yeah.
I would watch a show where they prove that evolution is real.
I would too,
If
but
they
people
used
who deny it would
definitive
still deny it.
new evidence in
Yeah.
a really approachable, fun way, it'd be really fun to redo all the experiments that proved everything that we currently know
That would be fun to watch.
using modern means.
That would be fun to watch from the perspective of somebody who already believes that and is being like, oh, this is being reproven to me like in our modern day way.
Yeah.
But the same way that they're just encasing that gyroscope in more and more stuff, basically like hoping it
Sure.
malfunctions without saying
Yeah.
it, they'll just never, people who really need to believe it will never believe it.
'Cause
There'll
I was-
always be a reason.
I was even going to say, like, wouldn't it be kind of cool if, like, you had this show where they're going to redo experiments to prove to you
Yeah.
the things that we take for granted as fact?
Yeah. Like the opposite of Mythbusters.
The opposite of Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Truth makers.
Yeah.
But
Sounds boring.
what if there was
I
the-
would never watch a show called Truth Makers. See Truth Makers last night? No.
No, I didn't. I absolutely did not. But like, what
Sounds
if there
too
was like
wholesome.
an app that like let you like do a thing to prove like the curvature of the Earth? But then you could go like, well, they designed the app.
Yeah, right. There's always something.
How do they know that the laser that they were firing
Yeah.
to prove that the Earth is flat? How do they know that that laser, which was manufactured
Right, by the man or
who
whatever.
knows?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Maybe the laser was manipulated to bend light.
Maybe.
Right, like
Right,
how
there's
far you can
always
take it as
something.
far as you want.
Because if you believe this high level conspiracy
Yeah.
that they have lied about the land we live on,
Yeah.
you can believe anything.
and
you
that
know?
literally the
Yeah.
sky is a dome with a
Right.
projection of stuff.
Right. I know.
Which even like old people like, I don't know what TVs originally looked like. Like, what would that screen be?
Good call.
You know?
Wait, I forgot that they think it's a literal projection?
Because they don't talk about it much, but it's in there.
Okay.
Mark Sargent will periodically
don't
make
remember
another
that.
mention of the fact that it's like, well, yeah, you got to remember that like, that's a screen.
Oh, I guess
He doesn't say it much, but he says it.
I guess I kind of, because I know about the dome theory and everything, but I guess I thought that they just think that that stuff all exists, but it exists within a closed dome for some reason.
Right.
Or like an atmospheric
Right.
thing that holds it in that way. But yeah, literal dome.
Yeah, he literally
right.
thinks it's a dome.
Right.
And
Oh, boy.
he watches the solar eclipse.
Oh, God, that's
He's
right.
there in person. He's like, it was amazing. It was as amazing as any
That's
graphics
right.
I've ever seen in a
that,
movie.
Okay, that confused me. I remember being like, wait, what? And then they moved on.
They
or whatever.
moved on.
That's right. That's
they
right.
kind
I
of
forgot.
don't explain what everyone thinks about the sky.
Right.
They explain a lot about the planet because they say that they say that like all of the continents are clustered in the
Right.
middle, kind of, and that we're literally surrounded by a wall of ice, like Game of Thrones. They say Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Someone even posits there's a break in the wall of ice, and the planet keeps going.
Right.
In rings, like
Right.
rings of a tree. We're only seeing
Center,
like the
yeah.
center ones, and the planet goes even further. Maybe there are even more continents, but they seldom talk about what they think the sky is.
Right.
But they think the sky, at least Mark Sargent.
Yeah.
And this is where there's also more dispute within that community.
Mm-hmm.
He believes it's a dome with a projection.
Right.
Somebody else is like, no, like the stars are real,
Right.
and like other planets are real.
Yeah.
And they might even be spheres, but we are not.
Right.
So it's like
Yeah.
the info. There's the disagreement within
Man,
the community.
I really
Yeah.
Forgot / didn't register that he thinks it's a projection. That sounds terrifying to live in that world.
Oh, absolutely. Again, the sort of like
Really
loneliness of it.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the ultimate theory that is posited by the movie is that Mark Sargent, who keeps using the Truman Show as a point of reference,
Mm-hmm.
Truman, Jim Carrey, in that movie is just some guy.
Yeah.
He is raised specifically to just be sort of like a mid-level salesman kind of dude. So he's got a pretty comfortable life,
Yeah.
but it's not like he's a head honcho.
Right.
So he's just some dude. So when it comes time for him to decide whether or not to stay or go from this artificial environment, Why wouldn't he go?
Yeah.
He can have what's real out there. I don't need all of this garbage behind me. It's not like they've created something so great. What if it was the mayor of that fictional town? Where he has everything, and everybody's catering to his whim, his needs. He has everything he could possibly want. Why would he ever leave the dome?
Right, right.
And he is inadvertently talking about himself.
Right.
As the mayor of this theory.
Of the flat earth thing, yeah. He's
Yeah.
like a celebrity within that community. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I kind of feel like the documentary paints him in a very likable light. And I think that they shy away from really pointing out some of his theories that are straight up
Yeah.
like wackadoodle out there.
Yeah.
The giant LCD screens surrounding us, that's a big weird one that I don't think people would make the fun leap to.
Yeah, right.
So I don't think it's highlighted much.
Yeah. Yeah, that
they
could
go
be.
instead for, he's wearing the funny shirts with the flat earth logo and stuff instead, because
Right.
that's a little more relatable, and it paints him as somebody that you can understand.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't find him to come across that likable. There were times where I was kind of like, yeah, I guess this is like that guy who you're like, you have an affection for, like a soft spot for. But I didn't find him that. I feel like they highlighted his enjoyment of his celebrity a good amount.
Absolutely.
That made him really not.
I also find that relatable, though.
I don't know, Will. Wearing a shirt that says "I am Mark Sargent" so that people come up to him to do that stuff.
Maybe
and, like,
relatable
They would
is-
catch him
right.
saying like weird things. Like I don't even remember off the top of my head, but just being like, oh, everybody here like
Yeah.
loves me. Do you see how excited he was to see me?
Yes,
Like
he says that a lot. Maybe relatable is the wrong word.
Yeah.
Maybe more
I
like
understand it, but it's not.
he's familiar.
Yeah.
He's somebody who's like somewhat familiar.
Yeah, but
he
it's
has
not-
to be, for the purposes of the documentary, he has to be somebody that is otherwise a pretty average guy who does this extraordinary thing
Yeah.
for the purpose of the documentary.
Yeah.
So I think that they shy away from
Right. Going into his
going
really
too far with
So
it.
in that way, I guess you're right. I guess they do paint him in kind of
Yeah.
a positive light, in that they do him the favor of not going into his super cuckoo
He's
stuff.
like Michael Scott.
Yeah. They don't go into his super cuckoo stuff. They go into the guy who's the actual founder's super cuckoo
Yes.
stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, in that way, I guess it is kind of pro Sarge.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, one of the hilarious things that the documentary does, which is just like straight out of The Office, is Mark Sargent and Patricia Steele go to like a NASA museum,
Oh my god.
and he's sitting in a simulation. They're doing a live stream.
Yeah, he's kind of lovable.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're doing a live stream, and
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going to try out this space simulation thing. So he sits in a chair that has like a couple screens above it that you're supposed to interact
Oh,
with.
yeah.
And it says start. It says start on the screen. So he's hitting it. He's going, this thing doesn't even work. See, look at this. This thing doesn't even work.
Yeah, they keep
And then he
making
gets
fun
out
of
of it,
it.
and they're like, this place is ridiculous. They're trying to make us believe that all this stuff is real, and their stuff doesn't even work.
Yeah.
And then the camera pans over to right next to him, below on the seat, there was a big green button that said start. You're supposed to hit the button, not smash the screen above your face. And it was Michael Scott.
Yeah, totally.
It was just like, and I honestly, like, as much as I enjoyed the documentary, I kind of think, like, I don't know. I guess I feel of two minds about it, because it made for a very entertaining moment.
Yes.
But it's also the documentarians who are hanging out with these people, walking around with
Right,
them,
right.
feeding into their egos a little bit. Then, when the guy has his back turned for a moment, panning
Right.
over to go like, what an idiot he
I know,
is.
I
The start
know.
button's right there. You
Totally.
dummy. You dumb moron.
I know.
I don't know if the documentary helps or hurts.
I don't know. I'm sure that there are people who watch it who it speaks to them. Like they're promoting it. Like they're into it.
Oh, they are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah, from sleuthing out both of their Instagrams, which are more sparse than I would have thought. Mark Sargent just joined Instagram. It seems like
is that right?
to join the behind the dome.
According
like-
to the documentary, you
Yeah.
can't avoid these people if you were
I think that
subscribed to them.
Yes, I think in the YouTube, I think they're very, very active in YouTube, but
Yeah.
Instagram seems like not so much. Like Patricia Steele barely updates, and he just made it. But still, they pop up in each other's Instagrams. So
Would you talk to them? Like if somehow Patricia Steele sees this,
yeah,
And she's like, well, they're very like I think I've been very kind throughout talking to this. If she was like, oh, there's a kindred spirit in there that I bet I could talk to him. I'd like to appear on your show. I'd like to have you on mine. Would you talk to them?
I don't think I want to give it a platform.
We kind of are right now, right?
Yeah, but not more of one. I don't. Yeah, we are. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I'd get really
I'd feel
confused and like annoyed. In
yeah,
my own
it doesn't
head partway through.
feel right because it wouldn't feel genuine to me. Like I'm not talking. I'd be coming at it from like a weird place on my end, so I don't really want to do that.
I think I'd be trying to be nice, and then at a certain point, I'd feel stupid, but be like, "But I know I'm not dumb. I know that you're saying stuff that doesn't make sense," and I'd just get so confused that I would say something.
I would feel that way too. It would
embarrassing.
definitely mess with my
Yeah,
head.
I can't disprove you, but I don't know what's going on right now.
I would feel icky because I'm so conflicted,
feel very
and I'm
icky.
not a journalist who's trying to get to the bottom of something. I don't. I don't feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I just want to be like, hey, what do you think of ghosts? Like, I probably just want to know other
I'd
stuff.
be interested in that.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, anyway, let's
All
stop
right.
talking about this.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, that's the end
Thanks for hanging in.
of another episode of Guide to the Unknown. Kind of
Yeah.
a Mondo episode.
Big
I walked into this
Mondo.
being like, I have nothing to really say. But
I knew mine was long because I wanted to use so many direct quotes so that I could get my point across well.
yeah. No, that was awesome.
Mondo
we
Bondo.
got to do more of Wanacue.
I know.
Yeah.
Definitely, especially with the Sargel stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The Sargel stuff is awesome.
I looked into vortexes in New Jersey a little bit another time, but I don't remember if I came across the Wanacue thing.
It's been suppressed.
There it is.
It's been suppressed.
There it is.
Yeah. All right.
here we go.
I could keep going. We
Yeah.
got to go. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. If
Yeah.
you enjoyed the show, please spread the word. Tell your friends.
Yeah.
Drop a review on iTunes. We have so many awesome reviews. We would love to get more.
Thank you.
Check us out online at GTTU Pod on all social media. You get stories throughout the week.
Yep.
I hear whispers coming from Facebook.
Ooh.
If you search for some sort of a private group, I don't know. Go check out patreon.com/GTTUpod if you'd like to give a little something back.
Yeah, we really, really appreciate it.
And as always, if you'd like to talk to us, you can also do so.
Yeah, I'm at Chillin' Kristen on Instagram.
I'm at Haunted Sponge. So we will see you next week when we tell more tales of mysteries, make-believe, and I don't know, Momo. But
Probably
until
not.
that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld go we. Bye. Just keep making eyes.
There you
Hey
have it.
guys, it was a longy one.
That was a longy one. Yeah, I
Let's
really
see.
was not anticipating
Me
getting in
neither. Me neither. I knew mine was gonna be long, but
that
yeah.
deep. Yeah.
My first thing that I'm seeing, I'm just glancing at the chat, is that Xander said, "I love you guys so much. Thank you."
Hey,
that's
thank
really
you.
nice.
That's a lovely
that
first
loud
thing to
laugh
see.
in your car. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ba. Okay. It's a conversation that we need more context for, but I'm glad you guys are talking. That rules.
Yeah.
And thanks, Drew.
Somebody was saying
Yeah, it's
something
interesting,
before.
right?
Was I too kind on
Thank you, Mel.
on the flat Earth theory? I guess I feel like there is like
No, I think you were fine. I really didn't
misunderstood darkness to it, but I
Yeah.
don't think that they're directly being insidious. So I
think so. Well, no. I don't think they're being insidious, but there's an insidiousness to the theory.
to what you do,
Yeah,
by
like,
acting this out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Insidious. Now I hope I wasn't too harsh. Insidious in that like it's worming its way in. It starts just to be inherent that like you don't trust things.
Right. Yeah,
so
yeah.
not them being insidious. Like I hope
No, I think probably between the two of us we balanced it out because I
Amber said yes. Will they are trash people? They are insidious.
Yeah, see, I guess that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm kind of curious about because, like, I think on most
Thank you, Kelly.
things,
And thank you, Eric.
like this, I probably would say stuff similar. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I really do think that, like, even if they don't know they're doing what they're doing,
Yeah.
or like even if they're doing the wrong thing, they don't mean to. If
I
that
mean,
makes
again,
sense, you
like
know?
it's so hard because it's so individual. You know what I mean? You can't even say like all flat earthers are doing something bad they don't mean to. It depends on the person.
Maybe I did.
Yes.
What did I miss?
How entangled they are with anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial.
Huh. Amber, can you retype or just like copy and paste what you said from before?
Ugh. What did I say? 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 What did I Yeah, I don't
There
know
was there was a moment in the documentary where I don't know if it was Patricia Steer. It may have been. She was saying something about how there are a lot of theories of why this information would be suppressed, and it was just like the same conspiracy theory stuff that you've heard a million times before
Yeah.
about like the New World Order and like the Jews are doing it to us or something like that. But I thought she was saying it in the context of this is what some people think, and being like it's just more of that sort of stuff. So I thought she was sort of dismissing it as she was bringing it up.
I really don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Oh, I'm sorry that you're upset, Amber.
Yeah, not trying to upset anyone. Yeah, I kind of knew this was a hot button topic. So basically, a ton of them are straight up Holocaust deniers. Lots of flat earthers have gotten their vids taken off YouTube because they are Holocaust deniers.
Oh.
One has a ton of anti-Semite raps taken off. Okay, I disagree with that.
Ugh.
I mean, if that's the case, that is horrible.
Yeah.
Is that all of them?
Yeah, I would hope that would be. I mean,
Yeah, like if,
I don't know. I would imagine that would be a smaller segment.
I would hope.
I feel like that. I'm surprised that didn't come up in the documentary.
Yeah, like that was not like a
Watch the video. Measure response to flat Earth. Huh. Well, that sucks.
interesting. Well, maybe we need to do a follow up then.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I watched the documentary and Googled a few things,
Yeah.
but that did not come up in my research.
Oy. Well, I'm sorry that it brought up some stuff, Amber. That sucks.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. That was not at all intended.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to go back and read the chat and learn about this. The video is not a measured response. I think you, I didn't watch the video, but I think one of you guys mentioned that to me in the live stream last week or something, because the name rings a bell, but I never got around to watching it.
A measured response to flat earthers. I'm going to just pull it up real quick.
Sure.
A measured response
Yeah, the name rings a bell.
to flat earthers. I'm kind of curious why that would not play a part in the documentary, because they seem to want to show these people. Like I think that they tried to do a sensitive job on Mark Sargent, but like other than that, I feel like they sort of showed these people as who they are.
Yeah.
So I don't know
I
why
feel
that
like
would
there
not
was
have.
like there was a moment that was, I think, I don't know, it's all your perspective or whatever, where they're at the conference and somebody stood up and they were like proud to be talking about how they were homeschooling their kid and teaching the flat earth theory.
Yeah.
I felt like that was like a little bit of a pivotal moment in the movie where you're like, God,
Yeah.
like that's scary.
Yeah, Amber did mention it before.
Yeah.
A measured
When I did my
response-
live stream last week, I think.
Wait, wait. The video is not a measured response.
Yeah, it's called a measured response to whatever flat earthers, and she's saying it's not a measured response. It's like dunking on him and calling him stupid.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, got it. Is it flat Earth
it's like
a measured response 2 months ago?
Hello,
Oh boy.
that guy who does those videos. Very
Okay. This is 45 minutes long, so
Oh, okay.
we're
Well,
not going to
yeah.
watch this right now, but I will watch
H
it.
bomber guy, is that it?
H Bomber Guy?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll check it out.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
that
it's like
one.
40
It started and then stopped because it was just someone being a bully to people with a dumb idea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll watch it later for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, you know that we're not trying to promote people that are anti-Semitic and hateful, though. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not denying it or claiming that that's not the case. I just don't know. I know
Yeah,
what
I
I saw in
hadn't
the documentary. I don't know
heard
why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
Hey, listen, we'll check it out. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that with us, Amber.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Okay.
Drew says, I actually posted a comment photo on the Facebook page when we found out about the topic of the Earth. Wait, can you read? I'm too far from the screen.
Yeah. I actually posted a comment photo on the Facebook page when we found out the topic of flat Earth. It was brutal, but we love you guys. Oh, okay. So I think Drew's saying while we were recording, maybe he posted something
see.
in the group.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something?
yeah.
Okay.
Here. When Will mentions flat Earth,
Oh,
it's a screenshot. It's a screenshot of the chat when I mentioned flat Earth.
yeah.
Amber goes, "Oh no!"
I'm sorry, Amber.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
you're familiar with enough with us that it's not like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you told us.
Yeah,
You know, like,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
So wait.
I want to learn about this stuff.
Yeah, let me see here. I love you guys. Now I want to look more into the link between the flat Earth and anti-Semites. I haven't seen that link previously, so I want to research it more. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
No, I'm glad that I know about that.
yeah. It's funny. I feel like now I want to say something that I feel is so obvious to say, but like, it's unacceptable and condemnable
Yeah.
to hate people of other religions,
Yes.
races, genders, everything.
Yeah.
And so by no means do we want to support that viewpoint.
I hate Nazis.
Yes.
And anti-Semites.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They don't deserve hugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess that's extending to the Earth being flat, Amber, that worldview.
Okay.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
That sucks. I'm
No,
sorry.
you don't have to apologize.
No, Amber.
You don't have to
Don't be
apologize for
sorry.
a damn thing.
No.
No.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Nothing is your fault.
No, not at all. Not
No.
at all. And like,
No. I seriously am glad to know this. I didn't
quite frankly, that might just be like a blind spot in what I've seen and heard of it to this point.
I mean, if your source material was just behind the dome
Yeah, and
and
then
Mark
Googling
Sargent's
that
blog or whatever.
that Chinese, like ancient Chinese belief of the Earth being an egg.
Yeah, then you didn't come across it. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. You flatten the Earth.
Yes, Mel,
I
you're
agree.
right. It's good to shine a light on this stuff. We need to know those kinds of things.
And quite frankly,
As
I'm
a
angry at you,
society.
Amber, for turning the Earth flat. So
how dare you?
wild. Okay.
Cool. We have a lot of things to ponder.
Here's a question. I'm gonna offer something
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
What if my topic was not researched adequately, and so therefore it does not deserve to be on the show this week? What if your topic was sufficient for a show that should be edited and posted, and my topic is something that I was talking out of my ass about and should not be dignified with the topic name
I don't
and
know.
put out there for people? How do we feel about that? Yeah, globalist
know.
is often a dog whistle for Jewish people, without a doubt. That's yeah, code speak. So
I haven't heard that term.
I've heard it before. There is like
Ugh.
yeah. Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Or like an addendum or something. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I don't want to put anything out there that's misleading or harmful.
Yeah.
You know, and quite frankly, maybe I just didn't know enough.
Maybe.
Yeah, see? Here you go.
Maybe.
So this is fun. Here, look
Yeah.
at this.
What?
It's an amusing place that we all find ourselves now. What do you think? Can we put up a poll or something?
That's a good point, Amber.
Oh, the meet people halfway thing.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. That I guess the way that I tend to feel about that kind of stuff is like, are people beyond saving? You know what I mean?
Depends on the person.
Like once a monster, always a monster. Or like, do we give people another chance? That's kind of what I mean about the halfway thing. Is like why discount somebody and make them essentially like dead to you necessarily? If they're actively harming other people, then hell yeah. But if it's just somebody with like the wrong idea, and it seems to me that a
depends
lot of these
yeah,
people might
I
just
don't
be
know.
somebody with the wrong idea. I guess that's just kind of how I feel. You know? Yeah, I get, but yeah, yeah. At the risk of just being like a broken record, like I didn't see them talking about how Jewish people are
Right.
I'm not saying that they don't believe that. I'm just saying like I wasn't advocating meeting them
Right.
halfway, though they refused to meet.
Jewish people have.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
It was
that-
like from our view, it wasn't about that
It's-
whatsoever. We had no idea.
Exactly. It's kind
Yeah.
of distorting what my point was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's like not what we were saying whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's
That may be that's a
right. It's
that's
true,
a
but
fair
that's
viewpoint,
not the
but it's
context
not
of what we were talking
saying.
about.
And
So, I
nor
don't
would
know.
we say that.
No. Maybe we should just remove it.
That's where Eric says that's where I am with it. I totally get where you're coming from, but it sounds like at least in part you were talking about Nazis and not knowing it.
Oh God.
I don't know.
I don't
I
see
guess
that
I'm kind of
perspective.
stunned. I don't know why this would be a documentary about secret Nazis without calling them secret Nazis.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think a lot of people are probably in the same boat as us.
I mean,
And I kind of think cutting it is also then pretending like that we intended
know what,
that.
like-
You know what I mean?
yeah, I know. But like it's one of those things where I'm like, well, it's not really my place to tell people what they are and aren't offended by or upset by, you know?
I will try to educate people who are willing to learn and listen. Yeah, that's like kind of what I mean. But like you don't always know who's willing to learn and listen. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not comfortable with any of this,
Yeah.
and I would just as soon leave it as part of the live show,
Yeah.
but cut it from the episode, if that makes sense.
I mean, I'm kind of uncomfortable with leaving open the idea at all that we have any clue about this and we're talking about it that way. And putting it out there. There being any confusion that we have any idea that flat earthers are like strongly linked to anti-Semitism. And we're like, well, you know, they're like kind of harmless and you can't push people into a corner and that, like, I don't know. The idea of that being open for interpretation is like weirds me out.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think.
Yeah.
I certainly hope it's obvious that that's not like anything that we'd do. What a funny position that we're in now, huh?
I don't know.
I don't know. I honestly, the other thing is like I don't think that it's like I don't feel qualified to wade into this water either. You know what I mean? Beyond condemning hate, which feels unfortunately feels to me like a no-brainer to do, but doesn't
Right.
seem to be the case these days.
Right.
Or really ever, I guess, and now it's just brought
Right,
to life. Yeah,
right.
see, like it's just not like what we do. It's just not what we do on the show.
Yeah, it's not
So,
what our show is about.
Quite frankly, yeah. Yeah, I'm just sad now. I just feel bummed out now because in no fucking way do I think that it was clear to me that this could have been the subtext of the documentary or the society.
Yeah.
I think that to my knowledge, I knew like what the pop knowledge was, which was that news anchors giggle about this shit
Yeah.
on TV.
Yeah.
I thought it was a wacky thing to believe
Yeah.
by a bunch of people who had sort of deluded themselves and were kind of sad.
Right.
That's the full extent that I was aware of.
Same.
And I'm not comfortable wading in these waters. I've got my beliefs about other, shit in society, and this is just not the right platform for it. So I'm
I
going
think that
to
boils it down.
Yeah, it's just not the right platform.
Yeah.
We're not qualified, and
It's like not what we do.
we stepped into waters that we didn't know the depth of.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut it from the show. I'm going to leave it in the live stream here. If anybody wants to watch this 2-hour something live stream, they can watch and hear as we're misguided and as we learn what the truth is.
I'm glad that I know that for sure.
Yeah, I'm absolutely
But
glad that
I
I
don't
know that.
think I want to open up Guides to the Unknown for like a larger
No.
discussion on just like the regular basis of like you're just putting on a
I
show
don't.
about
This is where we come
this
to
kind of
laugh
stuff.
about.
I'm glad that I know about it as a person, but I think we should just cut it.
Yeah, this is where we come to like giggle about
Yeah.
monsters. This
Yeah.
is not where we come to have this debate.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that you can't have the debate, obviously. See, look, it just opens so many more goddamn doors that we're just not qualified for here. Right? So
Yeah.
yeah. I'm cutting it out.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
It sucks that that's a thing.
It sucks that, yeah, it absolutely sucks that it's a thing. And it sucks that there are so many different ways that people.
And it sucks that it's not talked about then. It is weird if it's
It is weird that it's not
widespread,
talked
it's
about.
not in the documentary or anything.
Right? If that's such a big part
Right.
of this society's beliefs.
Right. Like
Why is it presented like this Michael Scott guy?
Right.
I was gonna make a point in the show, and then I was like, this is actually a fairly big accusation. Maybe it was a completely accurate accusation. I was gonna say, he and the dude who actually started the theory, like the guy who's like really extreme and only appears on webcams and
Yeah.
stuff. I was gonna say that like Mark Sargent is like David Duke. That it's almost like trying to find a somewhat folksy person to be the head of this
Right.
kind of.
That's actually has very extreme beliefs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, and I was like, well, but then I'd be calling him a KKK leader.
Yeah.
Maybe he is.
Maybe
I don't know.
he is.
I
I don't know. I'm definitely gonna have to read
maybe that
more
was
about
dead
this.
on. Yeah, maybe we're going to have to read more about it.
Yeah.
We didn't know what the hell we were talking about.
Yeah.
We still don't.
No, I had no idea. All right. Well, thank you, Amber, for bringing it up. I had no idea.
Yeah. And sorry that we had you screaming
Yeah, I'm
as we were
sorry.
talking.
That's the thing.
This is
like,
the
we don't-
downside of not looking at the chat while we do the show.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We don't want the show to be something that's getting people fired up. We want it to just be you're listening to a fun show about like weird, interesting mystery shit and monsters, and it's just like it's not the place for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It sucks. There are places for this kind of thing, and I'm glad that there are.
Yes, and there should be.
But I think
and,
that
yeah.
we should just.
Yeah, this is where we come to blow off steam and
Yeah.
have a good time. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you did not have a good time tonight, Amber,
that really
but thank you for
sucks.
letting us know.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Hey, listen, the debate can keep going. I got to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, everybody.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for talking. I didn't see this whole chat or anything, but thanks for talking. I hope that it was. I don't know what I'm saying. I hope
No,
that it was
we
civil. I
provided
hope
we
that-
provided nothing of any use.
No, I hope that you guys had an okay talk with each other about this stuff. Thank you for bringing it up, Amber. I'm really glad that we know about it now. And thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, one way or another, thank you all for hanging out and
Yeah.
for being so kind to each other, even when you have disagreements and need to
Yeah.
figure stuff out with each other. If I felt like there was anything that was like toxic happening in the chat, I would be completely uncomfortable with it. But you're all
Yeah.
like awesome people.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being able to talk and debate and stick with it all.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
okay.
All right, guys. Sorry that it was a little bit more of a charged night than you're used to, but thank you again, and we will talk to you next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
All right.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everybody.
Amber, again.